Hey, Bob, you're watching Dolly Vision.
The evidence seems to indicate that you're watching Dolly Vision.
What up, YouTube? It is Dolly back in the house. It's good to see all you beautiful people jumping in the room. I see Flappy says, "Am I blocked?" No, you're not blocked. We don't block many people here on Dolly Vision unless you do something terribly bad. Okay, so I'm thankful everybody has tuned in tonight. We got some stuff to talk about in the Summer Wells case. It looks like Dolly has been rattling some cages. You know, I'm pretty good at that, right? And some people are big mad, getting a little triggered out here on the YouTube streets because Dolly is searching for the truth in what happened to Summer Wells. And apparently, this is upsetting some of the suspects and some of the creators that are cuddling these suspects that have gotten too close to the case. Now, once again, we're going to dig in to the Summer Wells case. We're going to be talking about some of these people that are big mad, like Jody Sue Brown. Okay, you can never understand anything Jody Sue Brown says. Never. Can't make it out until she talks about Dolly. She's like, you know what? I want to stay sober tonight. I'm going to stay absolutely sober, and I'm going to talk shit about Dolly where people can understand it. Can't even believe it. Can't even believe it. But before we get into all the madness tonight, okay, before we get into all that, I'm going to need you to leave your DNA and your fingerprints on this like button down here somewhere, okay? There's 655 of you in the room already, and I'm going to need your DNA just in case Jody Sue hears your screams and the holler. Dolly's going to have to come save you. Okay, I'm going to have to come save you. So I'm going to need that on file. Also, if you're brand new, sub up the channel. We're not too far away from hitting 82,000 people. That's a lot of people. Okay, that's a lot of people. I can't even count that high. I can't even count. I could probably count to 82, but 82,000? Ain't a chance in hell. Not a chance in hell. All right, before we get into talking about all these criminals, and that's what I believe all these people are, is criminals, I want to give my warnings. Dolly Vision is for entertainment purposes only. We talk news, rumors, gossip, speculation, with some theories. We throw a little bit of comedy, A whole lot of chaos. So don't take nothing here as fact. Just my opinion, people. Completely satire. The caller's night opinions are theirs and theirs alone, not to reflect on the Dolly. And thank you for gifting them 5 memberships. Make sure you give her a big virtual hug and thank her if you got a membership. Everyone, and I repeat, everyone is innocent to proven guilty in a court of law, even though I think we should throw all these damn people in a jail cell and let the first one out that talks. Okay. And I guarantee you, if you did that, we would know where Summer Wells was. But everybody's innocent to proven guilty. And the biggest one of them all, I don't care what you do out there, never, and I repeat, never try to be Dolly at home. Okay. Your head could explode. It's just all blood. There's no brain matter. You don't have to clean up any brains. It's just blood, just spraying out, right? You don't need it. You don't want it. You ain't got to have it. Okay. So, I've took this weekend to enjoy my weekend, relax a little bit. I took yesterday off, which I don't usually take a day off. So did y'all miss me? Stop lying. Y'all didn't miss me. Y'all were probably like, glad I wasn't here. Glad I wasn't here. So I took a day off. And, I've noticed that a lot of people have been on this whole F Dolly campaign, right? Because I don't think people really want the truth out there. Some of these people, anyway. I think they don't. They don't want the truth to come out, or they want to paint a narrative that you believe. They don't want you getting down to the nitty gritty. Okay. They don't want it. So as I was, on the internet, I seen that Jody Sue Brown had a video set up for tonight, and it basically was about Dolly. Okay. Now, all the things in this world you could make a video about. Why would you make a video about Dolly? You could have made a video spreading awareness for Summer Wells or bringing out some of the dirty, dark secrets that you know. But no, it was more of an attack on the Dolly and PJ for saying we can't understand shit this lady says. Okay. True, I can't. But I don't know why you're mad at me because I can't understand you. Listen, I speak a lot of languages, but I don't speak whatever you speak. When you're intoxicated, woman, I don't speak that. I don't. I can't make it out. Right? To me, you're mad at me over speaking the truth about what I think about you is, I believe that there was a scream that took place out there that night. I believe that. Got to get my seat. Monica, thank you for being here with us. And get you a nice seat. The train is empty, so you're the only one on it so far. So you ain't blessed unless you ride in the express. Now, one thing Jody Sue Brown seems to think is that I do all this stuff for money. Now, listen, when I'm down there in them hollers and them woods, I'm out there droning, and I spend all my free time looking for this kid, ain't nobody paying me. Okay? Ain't nobody paying me to do this, but she likes to throw in this, tragedy pimp thing that, I'm making all this money off of searching for kids. I've never one time got paid to search for a kid. So when you throw out this bullshit information because you mad that people have, exposed you for the opportunists and you've created a whole YouTube channel behind you hearing a scream and the holler, and you say things like, your husband was selling drugs, or who Andy B selling drugs to the Wells to sedate a kid. But here's the thing, you coming out with that 4.5 years later, Jody Sue, right? 4.5 years or 4 years. And instead, why didn't you call the authorities when he was selling drugs to the Wells? Okay. If that's the case, she's batshit crazy. A lot of people think that. Tonight, she sounded pretty sober and was just a direct attack on the Dolly because she believes that, I don't know what the hell she believes. Maybe she didn't have nothing to talk about, or the fact that she's really bitter about Andy B coming up here on the channel, right? He has been in the chat room the last few days as we talk about the Summer Wells case. Now, I met Andy when I was down there. He didn't seem like a bad guy, but that don't mean he ain't a suspect, Andy B. I keep my eyes on everybody, right? You on the list of people in the holler at that time, you's a damn suspect to me. I have no shame in my game. You live in them damn woods at the time that little girl goes missing. I'd be waterboarding your ass in Guantanamo Bay right now if I could. Okay, just I ain't lying. And people don't like the truth out here. They don't like the truth, right? Because we all know this. If we locked up everybody on that hill, I guarantee you within a week, we would have answers for where Summer Wells is, what happened to Summer Wells, and this wouldn't even be a story right now. 85% suspect Andrew. Now, there's a lot. I would lock him up just to lock him up because it'd probably be safer for society if you locked up Andrew. But hey, listen, I ain't the sheriff. I can't make the rules. Okay, I can't make the rules. But there's been a lot of things said, that a lot of Jody Sue blaming Fred Hill for selling drugs and stuff in the holler, and that Andy B was selling drugs. Everybody was doing bad but her. Now, I don't quite believe that.
Sorry.
Hold on, producer.
That video I sent you on that one channel that has all the statements from everybody compiled starts with her statement, and she literally says something else. And it's like, I've never heard it. So that's why I was so excited to have you play that.
I'm going to get to that.
Okay.
As soon as I get through my intro.
Sorry. Okay.
Ish talking. I got to talk a little ish before we get into the videos.
I know. And she was talking to me like, I don't even understand that. I didn't feel like I said anything mean to her. And then she posted a domestic violence link on her thing. Like, did we offend domestic violence people? I just don't understand the lady.
I don't get what her motivations are either.
I'm going to bed for all this time.
Okay. Other than, she attacks anybody that associates with Andy B, which I don't know. I don't really associate with Andy. Andy's more welcome to come in the room. He's more welcome to discuss the stuff. But like behind the scenes, me and Andy B, we ain't chopping it up. We, but just like anybody, I keep anything respectful. If you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect, right? Even when Jody Sue reached out to me, I treated Jody Sue with respect, right? I was nice to her. I talked to her on the phone. I listened to her cry. I listened to her say all kinds of weird, crazy stuff that probably didn't even make any sense, right? But was she upset that, I said, I don't believe nothing she says, but about the scream? And that's basically, so she went on for tonight for, a few hours, just looping what I said about, I don't believe nothing she says. And I do believe her in the scream. I think she was genuinely honest. And she said she hasn't lied about anything ever. I noticed that in her stream, right? She said, I haven't lied about anything. Now, if that's the case, then basically y'all were selling drugs to the Wells so they could drug kids, right? Because you've said things like this. You've blamed everybody in the holler, so I just don't buy it. And that if that offends you, but here's my job. I rattle cages. Okay. I rattle cages. And then, we get these people talking. We get these people a little mad. We get them a little butt hurt. And then they start popping off and running at the mouth. And then when they say things, we have those words to say, okay, why are you saying this now? Right. If you knew, here's the thing. If I knew you was drugging children, you don't think I'm going to call the authorities and tell them that you were drugging children? But you want to compare me to somebody that's making money off of tragic events. I don't make money off tragic events. I make money because people gift me money and they support what I do here on YouTube. Unlike a lot of other YouTubers, I go out to these cases. So I sacrifice my time with my family, my friends, my vacation time, or time that I could be doing anything. I could be playing with damn Legos in my underwear. But I choose to go out to these crime scenes, search, do my part to try to help. We are totally different. Now, like I said, I'm going to play a little bit of Jody Sue Brown. But first, I want to go into this video that PJ has sent me that kind of goes over all these people's statements. And give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up for you. All right, here we go. Let me pause this. And this is Laugh Through Life. All right. Laugh Through Life has been putting out some pretty good videos lately. And we're going to play this video because it's kind of basically like a clip channel for what people say. And every now and then, instead of having to jump through a bunch of videos to find exactly everything these people have said, we can kind of go to one source and narrow it down and give you this information pretty quickly. So shout out to LTL. Laugh Through Life is what it stands for. And let's add this to the screen. Day one.
And so anyway, when she pulls up, she's on the phone with Donnie. Donnie's on the phone with her, and I didn't even realize the time. It just didn't hit me. But the first thing I say to Candace is, I heard her scream, I'm sorry, I didn't know.
Now, does anybody remember her saying that in the beginning? I don't remember her saying that in the beginning. You can't hear the audio? Can y'all not hear the audio? No audio? All right, hold on. Let me reshare this with you guys. All right, let me back it up since y'all can hear it. Well, it starts with no audio, but we'll get to that. All right, here we go.
And so anyway, when she pulls up, she's on the phone with Donnie. Donnie's on the phone with her, and I didn't even realize the time. It just didn't hit me. But the first thing I say to Candace is, I heard her scream, I'm sorry, I didn't know. And then I realized Donnie's on the phone. And Donnie says something like, so you're telling me somebody's taking my baby girl or something?
She can hear him on the phone.
I'm sorry, I didn't know. I didn't put it together, enough time, like, right?
Yeah, and you said that she did not even.
No, I mean, just like when he come at night within 3 hours of her missing and stuff. Only thing he even mentioned about her was at least he'll get to see her during the resurrection. That's the only thing he said.
He says that to me all the
time. Like she's already deceased and everything at that time. I mean, like he,
And you, huh?
And no remorse, no nothing. I mean, no signs. If it'd been my kid, I'd been.
Right? And
they'd had me locked up somewhere already.
Wow.
Okay, so we hear this, right? So what Jody Sue Brown's alleging was she went up to the car and she could hear Don saying, somebody took my kid, right? But in the beginning, when she reported everything, she just reported she heard a scream. Why didn't she tell law enforcement these details, or the details that Andy B was allegedly selling drugs to the kids so they could sedate kids and abuse kids? So it goes into this. I want to say this about Jody Sue Brown. You can say whatever you want to say about me. That's fine, right? I don't care. But I ain't the type of person that would let you drug kids and know about it and not do anything about it, not say anything about it. Just know this, Jody Sue. If you knew they were over there drugging Summer Wells and they were pimping this little girl out and you did nothing about it, you're just as responsible as the people that did whatever they did to Summer Wells, because you knew this was happening. You had every opportunity to stop it, to report them to authorities, and you didn't do that. Okay. So I know this, you try to do some shit like that around me, and I got something to say, and I'm going to say it to the authorities, and I'm going to make sure to the best of my ability that type of stuff is not going to happen. All right, let's get back to this video. And of course, Don Wells told me the same thing. He would see Summer Wells in the afterlife. I mean, he's pretty confident that Summer Wells is deceased. All right. Now, here's the thing. You can look at that two ways. Like, man, damn, you don't have any hope whatsoever that your daughter is alive, or you know she's for a fact deceased, right? Because, you know, as a parent, you know, let's use Brandy Neal as an example, because, you know, this case is really big right now. Stacey Wander's been arrested. She's been charged with murder. And the police have said that Monkey Michael Vaughn has been deceased for a good while. Brandy didn't want to accept it. Like, she was still posting pictures searching for her kid as he was alive. Because a real parent ain't going to want to give up hope until there's no hope left. Right? So you can look at it two ways. Like, you know, like, I think Don and Candace definitely know more. Whatever was going on in that holler around the time that Summer Wells went missing was pretty bad. We know there was a lot of drug dealing going on. We know there's a lot of people out there that were effed up on drugs, and I'm talking about all of them. And all of them admit to you, probably not Jody Sue Brown, but all of everybody else admit to you that they were on drugs or drinking, drunks and drug addicts all the way. That's all that was on Ben Hill Road. So Summer was surrounded by drunks and drug addicts. I don't believe the little girl stood a chance whatsoever. So, but I think these people know more than what they're saying. I think all of them.
As we've stated before, the circumstances surrounding Summer's disappearance remain unclear. So if we do develop information that she was taken and we develop a suspect and a vehicle description, of course, we will share that with the public immediately. At this time, that's just not the case. So we'll take a couple of questions.
So, I mean, the police don't believe this child's been kidnapped. We've heard them say that.
I saw where Friday night after sundown, they called everybody back. Yeah, there was some sort of tip or something. We seen, you know, blue lights up and down Beach Creek, and the helicopter flew till like 4 in the morning, looking around, you know. So we was up till 4 in the morning, being hopeful that they, you know, find something, but there's nothing. My personal opinion is maybe some human trafficking ring seen her on Facebook and tracked her down, like some kind of, you know, somebody is taken out of the area, and I don't know whether a human trafficking ring or what or who, but I mean, I knew from the first day she wasn't in the area, right?
He knew from the first day she wasn't in the area. Now, what parent would say that? Like, my first instinct, if I walked outside and, I mean, my child is grown, so I'm going to use my pet as an example, which I know is a big difference, right? But let's just say my little Chihuahua Lolo. I look around in the house, she ain't there. All right. I'm going to go out into the neighborhood. I'm going to look. My first instinct would be, I know she was kidnapped and sold to a Chihuahua ring that's from Chihuahua, Mexico. No, it's not going to be that. You're going to think, you're going to get out there and you're going to search. Let me tell you this. If my kid was missing, there would be no police in the world that tell me I can't go out and look for my kid. Because the first thing I would tell you is, bitch, you better get your handcuffs out and you better get ready to tase me, because I'm going out looking for my kid. Most parents would be out, especially in the country, on four-wheelers and everything looking for their kids. This whole sit in the house and not look, no, that ain't me. Right now, I know the police do tell parents sometimes stay home just in case the child comes back. But I couldn't do it. I mean, I couldn't do it personally myself. And just instantly to think the kid has been sold, and he's thinking the absolute worst. Now, some people think the worst right off the bat, right? Some people are just like, oh my God, she's dead. Instead of thinking, oh man, she might be down at the creek throwing stones, or she may have walked into the woods and got disoriented and went the wrong way thinking she was heading back home, right? Because, you know, someone ran around and played in those woods a lot. So to hear him right off the bat know something terribly has happened. And, you know, of course, we've heard Don Wells say that from the very beginning, he knew something was going to happen to Summer, and he kept telling Candace that something was going to happen. He's even said Summer knew something was going to happen to her. I think if Summer did know, it's because of the life Summer was living, and it wasn't a very, very good life compared to a lot of our upbringing. Now, listen, I grew up in the country, running around barefooted, playing from Georgia, right, Alabama border. I get the country life 100%. But the way this was going was, her mother is basically, I hate to say this, but this is true. She's drunk. Candace, drunk all the time, belligerently drunk. Don Wells, he's out more worried about smoking crack, hanging out with prostitutes, than taking care of his own family. So, I look at this sometimes like it's horrible that Summer Wells is missing, right? But this, I truly believe this. Summer Wells saved her 3 brothers. She saved those kids of a miserable, shitty life. Because if nothing would have happened, all them kids would have grew up in that house that's dysfunctional and around drug addicts and alcoholics. And I believe children are sponges. They're a product of their environment. And there's little videos of the kids cussing and saying things that are inappropriate. And to me, that's because they've been around this. That behavior is taught. Okay, kids just don't know this bad shit. They got to hear it, they got to see it, and then what they do is they try to be like their parents, right? They look up. They try to be like the people they look up to. And if you have nobody, a good role model at all to look up to, you're going to go towards the bad route. We've even heard stories of Don Wells smoking with his kids, okay, which is absolutely horrible. And for me, listen, I was a smoker for years, right? And this is one of these things that Jody Sue Brown had to say, that, oh, he was so high that I haven't smoked weed in almost 2 years. I haven't even smoked. She's talking about test my THC level. Lady, I haven't smoked. I had a heart attack. The doctor said, hey, you need to quit smoking. I quit smoking that day. It wasn't even a big deal. Okay. So I very rarely drink, and I absolutely do no drugs. Okay. Like I could piss in a cup anytime, anywhere, any place, but I wouldn't do that because I don't have to prove myself to nobody. I know I'm clean. Right. The first time in years, but I never was into anything hard, just smoking. Right. And I never hid that from anybody. I'd sit up here and do it while I was live. Right. I don't knock anybody for smoking, but here at the same time, I ain't going to give that shit to a little kid. Okay. Cause I look at it the same way as like alcohol. It's something that adults use to chill out, mellow out. Right. And anything's okay in a certain amount. It's when you abuse things, right? It's hard to abuse smoke because it only do so much to you, and you build a tolerance to it. Alcohol, oh, you can easily abuse that. People do build a tolerance to it too, but then they just drink even more, right? So, yeah, it's just one of those things. But this is the lifestyle the kids, and we hear that, especially young. Here, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I didn't even start smoking until I was like 25. I didn't smoke. I didn't smoke in high school. Didn't drink. Got good grades. Graduated early. I didn't start smoking till I was later in life. Till after I realized the world sucked. then I started smoking a little bit. But when I was young, I didn't smoke. I didn't do drugs. I looked at it like it was what losers done. Honestly, it was just my thing. I just chose not to do those things. I went to school every day. I tried to, get my education, and then, once I was out working, started my own, had my own thing going on, then I started smoking. And so if I could go back in time, I would have been like, hey, don't even smoke. It ain't even worth it. You're going to spend a lot of money on that shit. And what good is it going to do you? Right. Health wise, not a lot. Okay. Especially smoking cigars. So if you're out there smoking, It don't concern me none. But just, think about your health. One day, all that stuff that you consume catches up with you. All right. That's all I'm going to say in that.
Do you have hope for Summer being found? Well, I have hope, but statistically speaking, and looking at it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. A tough thing to think about. Well, yeah, of course. I'd feel for anybody in that position. I'm sure you would too. Any kid that's being tortured or hurt in any way, and missing their parents and their good friends in church and stuff like that, just unimaginable what she's going through. Yeah.
Okay. Can you imagine, though, being a child for Don Wells out there and you growing up and everybody around you is dysfunctional, fighting, screaming, Don beating on Candace. There's hardly any food in the house. If it is, it's frozen TV dinners. And if your dad's out smoking bad stuff and your mom's in the front yard passed out drunk, who's taking care of you? Right? And I guarantee you this, most of the time that Summer was probably taken care of was probably taken care of by her three brothers. All right, looking out for her, because the oldest, probably Josie, the oldest, was taking care of the kids. Because listen, if you hammered drunk, you ain't watching the kids. And if you ain't around, how can you be watching the kids? So somebody had to be taking care of the kids in general. Somebody had to be cooking the frozen pizzas. And I guarantee you, it's little Josie that's up for adoption right now, and to see the kid, like, and to see his interview, he seemed like a bright young man that would have a great future. And I think he's been given that because he's gotten away from these people for the last 4 years. So we see him 4 years later, he's been with good people around good things, and they're molding him into a good young man. So thank God that the two boys got adopted. But, Josie, he's a little bit older. And, anything, it's hard to get people to adopt older children. People want younger kids that they can kind of, believe it or not, mold to fit into their family. And a lot of people feel like when you're so old, you're kind of like, it's going to be hard to blend you in with the family. Plus, you old, and you're going to need counseling probably for the rest of your life because of the abuse that you experience. And one day these kids are going to come out and talk. They're going to come out and talk. There's no way that all these kids don't have access to the internet. So you're going to see the Wells boys eventually come up here. It's going to be some years because two of them are young, and it'll probably be Josie first. And I think he would know the most, right? And, it's a sad situation to see him in, because I don't know if you guys know, they made a commercial for Josie. It's out there. I don't want to play it. It's heartbreaking because it's just him looking for his forever family. There's rumors that Candace was on the phone with the boys, asking them did they want to come home, and the boys told her no, they didn't want to come home. So name a kid that doesn't want to be with their parents. It had to be pretty bad in that home for all these kids to go, you know what? I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back there, because they had a sense of normal life, probably eating dinner, breakfast, lunch, living normal life, playing video games in a clean environment with people that ain't cussing and screaming, people that ain't drunk, people that ain't on drugs. And they were like, man, this is what normal life is, because these kids didn't know what normal was. You have to be around normal to realize, oh, well, shit, my family's effed up, or you just don't know. Right. And I think once they seen that, hey, we're not living how other kids are living, they didn't want to go back. And I don't blame them. I don't blame them boys at all. And I think they have a fighting chance in this world. That commercial was so sad. I pray he's got a wonderful family. I do too. Right. These, it's like anybody. It's like when you're taken out of a home, I hope they get to live their best life. And and they go to somebody good, because you got to remember, for the longest time, were these kids really loved? I mean, Don and Candace can say they loved them, but did they show them love and nurturing and caring environment? I think that's important, especially at the ages where you're learning what's right and wrong and all these things. And these kids were coming up with, like, they would have been bad people, I think. They would have been no different than Don and Candace. Them boys would have been using drugs and drinking at young ages. And of course, when you start doing that, that opens up to harder drugs as gateway. That's the real gateway. Is your environment is the gateway. I don't think it's because you smoked a little herb that you instantly go to smoking crack. Okay, I don't think that's the case. If you're around these things and these opportunities are presented to you and you don't have good direction, then you may choose to do these things, right? And I just feel like it would have been not too long and Dom would have been smoking with Josie. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't talking about just the herb. He would have been out doing other things with his son, and instead of teaching him good morals and good values and, you know, to just say, no, stay away from this stuff, it can kill you. I don't think they were that type of parents, which is, now that's just my opinion, right? That's just my opinion.
Some will be okay. And please come home. It's been rough, but we know, we believe in the resurrection.
Wells also spoke about his gut feeling about Summer's whereabouts.
Some bad person grabbed her, and we have no idea.
Some bad person. And you see the little kid with his head down. And, you know, because they've kind of blamed the boys for this, which is even more horrible. You know, well, the boys were supposed to be watching their sister. No, bitch. You were supposed to be watching your kid. Okay? Candace with that, the boys were supposed to be watching her. It's like they're going to blame these kids. The same kids that they did nothing to try to get back. Well, Candace did. Don wouldn't. I think, you know, we look at Candace like she's just, I think Candace has more heart than Don Wells. I think Candace may have cared about these kids more than Don definitely did, because Don wouldn't sacrifice anything for his sons. The same sons he says were kidnapped, that the social services took the kids, and social services are selling kids. They gave him every opportunity to get with the program and do what they asked. And he refused to do it. He wouldn't go to any of these parenting classes. Now, listen, everybody in this world don't need parenting classes, right? It's instinctual to love and care for your child, right? It's something, as soon as that baby's born and you see it, you know, like as soon as I held Tiffany for the first time, my daughter, I knew I wasn't never going to let nothing happen to Tiffany, right? Like I would protect her with my life. That was the most important thing in my life at that moment. It's like a special, I mean, I still to this day remember every second of it in slow-mo and me holding my baby for the first time. Now she's grown and a handful, but I haven't forgot. And in that stuff is instinctual. I didn't need parenting classes to know I needed to love and care and protect my child. It came naturally, right, as a parent. And most mothers know this too, right? But there are some people out there that do need parenting classes. They just do. And I believe Don Wells was one of these people. But listen, Don is so stubborn and set in his ways that he wasn't going to go for this. And he thought he could just not do this and they were going to give him his kids back. You know, this was something ordered from the courts. Hey, go to parenting classes, go to alcohol classes, do these things. And, you know, we'll consider giving you your kid back. Not that they will give you a kid back, but they'll consider it. They'll take that into consideration when they make their ruling that you're trying to make an effort to get your kids back. If somebody's saying you neglecting your children and then they tell you to do some things and then you don't do it, you're even more neglecting your kids because you couldn't even do this for your children to get them back. So they're thinking, well, if you can't attend a class, you damn sure ain't going to take care of these kids. And I think they did the right thing. I mean, if I was the head of social services or the judge that presided over what was going on that home, I would say the same thing. You know, we gave you a chance, we give you opportunities, and you didn't do. Don and Candace gave up their rights, didn't try in order to avoid child neglect. Well, they didn't want to go to classes. Candace did. At this time that these classes were going on with Don and Candace, we were speaking with Candace quite oftenly. Okay, on the phone, she would call up, chat for hours at a time. And she would tell us that Don won't go to these classes. He won't do it. He won't try. She was going. Candace was doing it. So I can't blame Candace for not trying to get her kids back. Right? I can't. That's just the truth. Don Wells is the reason these boys are gone. Much as he wants to admit it or not, he gave up on his boys and then was just like, oh, well, later, didn't care. But then when you get online, you want to be the parent that's like, oh, I miss my boys so much. The social services kidnapped them. You know, they ask simple things of you. Clean your house. Stop drinking. Stop doing the drugs. Piss clean. You know, because part of these classes are drug tests. Okay, you got to go piss. You can't show up drunk. You can't show up under the influence of crack cocaine at a parenting class. You can't do that. So, you know what he did? He just didn't show up. Was it that he didn't show up because he didn't want to? Or if he showed up and he pissed dirty, they would know. I think he wouldn't give up what he was, his lifestyle for his boy. His lifestyle was more important. His drinking, drugging, prostitutes was more important than his 3 kids. Now, that's just my opinion. You know, just my opinion. What happened to Summer is still the $1 million question, right? It's still the $1 million question. Like, it's just so much things that are odd around the disappearance of Summer Wells that just blows my mind. If we look at this situation, like, we got a father that he probably, the social services should have been involved anyway because of you showering with your daughter. Social services should have been involved anyway because of Candace sleeping with Hunter. There's a TikTok video out of Candace like rubbing the head of Hunter. Anybody seen that? Anybody seen that video? I don't think I have it handy right now, but I was watching it with PJ the other day, and I was like, that's like some creepy How to Catch a Predator shit, right? I mean, it's really, really odd. Like, on both parts of everything that was going on. And Candace, if she knew these things were going on, we heard phone calls with Candace talking about he's hurting my daughter. Remember, she called a 911 call. Everybody heard it. You know, if you're into the Summer Wells case, you heard that call where she's crying and she's talking about he's hurting my daughter. Was she talking about physically or was she talking about sexually? So as a mother, to stand by and watch things like this go down, right, where your husband is abusing your daughter and you're not doing anything about it, nothing, right? That's just like I said about Jody Sue Brown. If your old man was selling them drugs to sedate children and you did nothing about it, you're just as responsible as the person that did it. If you can sit there and watch something happen and do nothing about it, you're just as responsible as the person that do it. As a good person, it's our job to tell shit like that, right? Not to let that happen. You know, you wouldn't want to happen to your kids. It's okay for him to sell drugs to sedate kids, but Jody Sue Brown's a mother. Okay, you're a mother. Would you let somebody do that to your kids? But it's okay to do that to other kids and not say nothing. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. It's unacceptable all the way around. So Candace, if she knew what was going on and she wasn't reporting it, well, she tried to, but drunk. But when Don was at work, why didn't she go down to the police and say, hey, This man is abusing my daughter. There's plenty of wives that tell on their husbands for abuse. Okay. It happens. It's sad. It's terrible that, kids go through, especially from people that's supposed to love and care for them. And then you got the person that's supposed to be loving and caring for you doing horrible, terrible things to you at night. Okay.
Summer is still missing, and we are more concerned than ever and desperate to find her. TBI agents continue to work with the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office and the FBI in an effort to determine what happened to Summer. We are utilizing all available resources to include the FBI's Child Abduction Rapid Deployment Team. We want to reiterate that the circumstances leading to Summer's disappearance remain unclear, which is why we've been exploring all possibilities. Agents and detectives have followed up on a number of leads, to include residential surveillance video and photos from around the area of Summer's home. Drivers seen in the area at the time of her disappearance have been identified and interviewed. While we've not ruled out an abduction, we simply do not have any evidence at this point to confirm that's what occurred. For that reason, the ground search for Summer continues.
Okay, no reason to believe this child was abducted. All right. Now, we got a lot of information that came out after the fact, but even to this day, Detective Pruitt says he don't believe there's been an abduction. He believes that child is not far from that hill. And listen, has he done the greatest job in this case, Detective Pruitt? I don't think so. But I agree with him. I 100% agree with Detective Pruitt. This child is not far from that holler. Whatever happened out there that day, they didn't go out into the city and do something. That whatever they did, they hid in them hollers. I don't believe Jody Sue had cancer. I don't want to doubt she has cancer. I'm not one to judge her on her health or anything like that. Only thing I can judge her on is what she said in this case. That's all I'm worried about. Jody Sue's personal life or her medical conditions, I'm not after Jody Sue because of that. And if she does have cancer or she had cancer, I pray that she gets well. I don't wish any bad on anybody. That's just not the way to do it. Like I hope she heals up. Even if you ain't the best person in this world, I don't want nothing bad to happen to you. I don't wish bad on people. Any of that. I just want justice for this child. And that's the only thing I'm interested in is this child. Like, I don't get up here and joke her looks or anything. Maybe a little bit how she talks because I have such a hard time understanding. Some people have a hard time understanding my redneck ass, right? I get it. All right. But it's just things that I think she says that are lies, that are just lies. Or if they're not lies, you didn't do nothing about these things and you knew these things were happening, which is pretty horrible in itself. Yeah, there's a lot of weird characters in this holler, right? A lot of weird characters. And one thing Jody Sue Brown said was, you're not even from there. Talking about me. And I'm not from there. That she's lived there. She's okay, but here's the thing, Jody Sue. You're right. I'm not from there. But apparently everybody from there is halfway out their mind or drunks or drug addicts. And that's all we have looking for Summer Wells, we're in a world of trouble. Okay, we in a world of trouble if that's all we got out there. Now, I don't know if people are saying Jody Sue has some medical conditions. I don't know if that's why a lot of times you are online slurring, like, right? Like, I don't know if it's a medication you're on. I don't know. It's not my place to judge you. All I know is I can't never understand shit you're saying. I hate to be mean, but it's the truth. Now, like I said, if you got cancer, I'm praying for you. I hope you make a full recovery and fight. That's all I can tell you. The same thing I tell Miss Ann. We're praying for you, Miss Ann. Don't give up the fight. You're a strong woman. You got this, right? But I don't know if it's the medicines that you're on that got you being a space cadet sometimes, right? Because I listened to you tonight. You were still a space cadet, but you sounded sober. I can make out more of what you were saying when you were like, fuck Dolly. But you know, it is what it is. You don't have to like me. And here's the thing I tell people up here all the time on YouTube. I'm not here to be your friend. These YouTube creators, I'm not. I'm up here to find justice for kids. I don't give two shits who likes me in the YouTube circle, right? If it, I don't kiss people's ass. I say what's on my mind, and you don't have to be my friend. You don't have to like me. None of these people. Like Ziggy, you don't have to like me. I don't care. It makes no difference to me. I sleep the same. Okay, I got a Mr. Pillow, and PJ just got me a new blanket for Christmas, and it's nice and thick and fluffy. I sleep good. I sleep good. I'm not too much worried about what people say and think of me, right? What I'm worried about is, are we going to get answers for these kids? And to hear Jody Sue up there screaming, "Where's the baby?" Listen, part of my job here on YouTube is to be a little entertaining, to keep people interested and watching. If people ain't watching, how am I going to spread awareness for these children? So some of that silliness I do is just because you see tonight there's what 1,400 people in the room at 1 o'clock in the morning. Ustream has 20 people in there because you don't entertain. You're just like you're like watching paint dry. And that listen, ain't that personal. It's just the truth. There's levels to the YouTube thing. Not only am I a person that does these things, but I'm also a pretty decent YouTuber at the same time. And personality goes a long way on these YouTube streets, right? And you just boring as hell, lady, right? You don't do nothing to keep people's attention to where I do. All right. Let's get into it. Day 15.
I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself or off this yard by her swing. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her, has lured her away from here. Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
Well, I knew right away that she was abducted. You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, I forget the word.
Investigation.
They have to do one step at a time, I guess. If there's any way you can find it in your heart to please release her somehow. I don't know how.
Does anybody, let me ask y'all guys this. Does her face look swelled up in this 15 days later? Like, look at her cheek. Let me put my cursor over here. See my mouse? Does her cheeks look swollen up? Like fat? Like has she been, I don't know, has she been bounced around the house a couple times? I mean, it just looks a little like, she looks a little swollen. Or like she's retaining water or something. Is that from drinking? Yes, they look like cheek implants. Always thought that, but teeth problems, I don't know. That's possible. If you don't take good care of your teeth, you could get abscesses, you get swelling, you get that type of stuff. It could be something to do with her teeth, right? That Don would say that Candace didn't like water, right? I don't think that's the best hygiene out there. You know what I'm saying? People say drinking. I thought the same thing, that it could be drinking or it could be being, abused, because we know that Don be hitting on her. You've heard that in many of the lives, right? They have such a dysfunctional relationship because, she left Don for a little while, was with her friend's husband, And now she's recently came back home, and Don just takes her back, and but the whole sleeping around thing was, I even heard that she was sleeping with random people at the gas station, right? That she was bringing people up there, and of course, Jose was banging everybody. So it's just like, and then of course Don was sleeping with other women. So it's almost like they had this open relationship, that they could just sleep and do with whatever they wanted to do. And, they were more worried about everybody else than each other. You get too much liquor and yeah, I agree.
You might do that. I mean, you're probably scared of going to prison for the rest of your life and everything else, I'm sure. But please find it in your heart, have mercy, and find a way of letting her go, and where we can get her back. And just please have mercy on her, and and us, and her brothers. And she's such a loving, good spirit. Please don't hurt her. Please let her come
And
home.
do y'all remember that Don said they took the boys for their own protection? Right? But they didn't know that Summer had been kidnapped. Right? They were ruling that out at that time. But Don kept saying they took the boys for their own protection. Now, look, there's a lot of parents with runaway kids where they don't come in and take all the kids. But that's what he said. Protection from who, Don? If they were they protecting them from you guys? But that's what he said. They took the boys for their own protection. Like there was a kidnapper lurking and he was going to come back up the dog hill and snatch the boys. I still think Don Wells was home that day or in the area that day. I don't believe he was in Johnson City like he claims to be. I don't believe he got back in 20 minutes in a 45-minute to an hour ride. That's with no traffic. You're talking rush hour when he was allegedly supposed to come home, and he made it home in 20 minutes in rush hour. I don't buy that. He said he was there, but he wasn't there. Hunter said he was there. Candace said he was there. That's 3 people putting him on the hill that day, but he still swears that he wasn't there. I don't buy it. I just don't buy it. So why lie about being there or not? Let's just say he was there. Say he was working on a car and somebody kidnapped Summer Wells. What does it matter if he was there or not? But why lie? Why lie about little things? Because if you're going to lie about little things, them little lies are to cover up bigger lies. So he wasn't at work that day, in my opinion. He was somewhere in that holler that day. Something transpired, and I think it had to do with maybe there was an accident that took place. Maybe they were fighting and Summer got hurt. Because it sounds to me like this. Grandis was with them, and we hear this story about they were at the grocery store, and then they took Hunter home, okay? But why was there no Allie talking about Grandis being at her house? Did anybody remember that when Allie gave her statements? You never said anything about Grandis being at the house. So where was Grandis when Candace was over there with Summer in the back of the truck? I believe they went to the hill first. They went to that hill, and something transpired on that hill, and then Candace took Hunter back. And then remember, Hunter got Candace's phone, and he said there was a text message on it that said, "It's done." Well, what is done? You got a text message the same day your daughter goes missing, it's done. And then instantly, after all this goes on, she goes over and tells Hunter. She goes back to Hunter's. Well, no, she calls Hunter. My bad. She calls Hunter and tells Hunter that Summer's missing. Why is it so important that this child know that Summer's missing? There's a lot more to this, and I do believe that Hunter holds the key to this, but will he tell? I don't think he will. Hunter, look, the apple didn't fall far from the tree with Hunter. Hunter is a little piece of shit. Sorry, not sorry. Facts. I mean, he is the most wannabe gangster ever. What he did when his mama was dying was absolutely horrible. You know, we felt bad for Hunter. We raised a bunch of money for him right here on his channel. You know what he did with that money? Anybody remember what he did with that money we raised for him? And it was a good chunk. It was up there. Anybody remember what he did with that money? Just quick Q&A, you know, anybody in the chat? Anybody remember what he bought? Anybody remember what he bought with that money? He bought a gun. That's what he bought. If this kid is not in prison or the graveyard, well, he's a grown man. Now, I didn't even call him a kid. He's a grown-ass man. If this grown-ass man ain't in the graveyard or in prison by the time he's 30, I ain't sitting here. Okay? I ain't sitting here. So, yeah. Tattoos and poo-poos. Right? Yeah, he you know, and this was to try to help him bury his mother and do these things. And he just, man, remember lying about the twins? And he was, I mean, I believe he has a kid now, but he was just lying and just, it was horrible. It was just horrible. And then I knew at that point, listen, we won't never, ever do nothing again to help Hunter, right? You know, we try to give him a benefit of doubt. His mama was sick in the hospital and she was about to die. And this kid is out here grifting with his daddy. All right. And this is some of Andrew's shit. You know, his daddy, Andrew, can be a disgusting human being. But the thing about Andrew is there's not even no shame in his game, right? He don't even care that you think he's disgusting. He's fine with it. He's like he don't give a fuck what you think. You know what I'm saying? He don't care. Like what can you call him? He hasn't been called, right? He's not been called at all. And a lot of these people just use this right off the rip as a way for them to make money, right? To make money. They took advantage of the situation, of the kindness of loving people's hearts. So it won't never happen to me again. I won't do shit for you. You know, I just sit back and watch. I don't feel bad for you, bro. But you know, last time I helped you or did anything for you, look how that turned out. Right. So I believe a lot of these people do know. Now, Jody Sue Brown, I don't think she knows nothing. Andy B, I think he's probably being accused of a lot of stuff he didn't do. Fred Hill, all these people, bad people now. Don't get me wrong, we're doing bad things. I do believe that. But does it have something to do with the disappearance of Summer Wells? I think whatever's going on with Summer Wells has got to do with Don and Candace. That's it. You know, it may have some outside factors that play into it, of the people that were around and who was in them hollers and things like that. But if somebody kidnapped Summer, they know exactly who and they know why. But I don't think that's the case. I used to think dry, drown, and heat stroke. I'm leaning more towards she got hit by a vehicle now. They got in a vehicle, they're under the influence, and they done hit Summer.
She's my biggest fear is, you know, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something.
Well, that's what she was. She was already tormented in a basement. What do you think was under your house? That is a dungeon. It's all brick. There's no staircase. Well, there was when she was there, but it was a rickety, raggedy ass one. And I mean, yeah, she was being tortured, tormented, and locked in a basement when she was with you guys.
Because she loved to be outside all the time. That was her. Unfortunately, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside, and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now."
But the thing is this, Don, that is your child. Why do your kids have to watch their sister? They're babies themselves. They're little kids themselves. It's your job as a parent to look after the kids. It's yours and Candace's job to look after the kids. It's not your kids' job to be a parent. They ain't out having kids. Okay? They ain't out with kids. It's your job and Candace's job to go get the kids. You see, that's the thing. And you can tell they blamed us on the kids. Even Candace did. They blamed it on the kid. Oh, the boys were supposed to be watching, or the boys were supposed to this. No, it's your job as a parent to watch your own damn kid. You don't put your kid off on another kid and then be like, oh, and then blame the boys. That's why they didn't want to come back to y'all's asses, right? Because y'all blamed them for the disappearance of Summer Wells. And it ain't nobody's fault but your damn fault, because y'all were too busy living your life to worry about taking care of your damn kids.
And that's happened over and over again. And we'd come out, and she would always be close by, but we was always coming up. She had to be outside. She was an outdoor person.
She loved to be outside.
And I'm so afraid.
Well, as a parent, you got to be like, listen, you can't go outside unless we're out there with you, like most normal parents. All right. Now, you would think in the country it'd be okay to go outside, but there's still dangers in the country, bears and stuff like that. Now, my kid never went outside by herself, ever. Tiff never got I go outside when I want to go outside. No, you go out there when we go out there with you. But, I lived in a pretty bad area when my daughter was a baby. So it was important to me that if she was out there, I was out there. Now, I wasn't worried about kidnappers. I was just worried about shootings and stuff like that. I lived in a pretty bad area at the time. It was my first house. It wasn't in the nicest neighborhood. It's okay house, single family home, but it was in a rough area. Well, the block I lived on wasn't bad, but the next couple blocks over were pretty bad. There were shootings all the time and gang violence and just drug dealing and stuff like that. So every morning I go out to the bus. Every afternoon I'd be out there when she got off the bus. If she went outside and played in the front yard, I sat out there with her. We had a fenced in backyard, but even if she went out back, but she hardly ever played out in the backyard. She always wanted to play out in the front yard. I'd go sit out in the back with her every time. There was never a time that me and her mother wasn't with her present. And I mean, it wasn't because we were worried about kidnappers. Like I said, we were more worried about violence in the area, which made us super alert to her being outside by herself. Now I know people let their kids go outside and play. And if you think you live in a really nice neighborhood, it's okay for your child to go outside and play. But let me tell you this, Brandy Neal, nice ass neighborhood, pretty, nice homes in the country, fields and farmers. And I mean, just a beautiful area to live in. Fruitland, Idaho, pretty place. And no, there's monsters everywhere. Just because you live somewhere really nice don't mean there ain't somebody lurking. There's bad people everywhere, no matter what type of neighborhood you live in. So you really do need to be with your kids, within an earshot or eyesight at all times. And if you're not, you could end up one of these stories, and nobody ever thinks it can happen to them, but it can. It absolutely can. I even asked Brandy Neal, y'all can ask her this. I asked Brandy when I was in Fruitland, I said, Brandy, did you think anything like this could ever happen to you? And she said, no. She said, Michael would go out and play. We live in a nice neighborhood. It never crossed my mind. You think that her other children that they let go out and play by themselves now? I bet you there ain't a chance in hell Buggy goes outside by herself. I guarantee it. Because but we don't want it to take a tragedy for people to realize that, hey, I got to be with my kid at all times. It's your job. You know, as a parent, you got to get a passing grade every day. You can't fail one time. You have to be a good parent every day, 24/7. There's no room for bad days, because that one bad day could be the day that something terrible happens.
She's locked away. She's such a loving heart and everything, and I'm afraid that she won't be able to, locked away where she can't be outside or play with a puppy or anything. Love nature, and that's my greatest fear, that she's not able to do any of these things anymore, or that she could possibly, I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility. I don't want to address all the negativity. I just want to focus on the positive, because
Find her daughter.
You know, they want to find their daughter. So many people scream this. I heard, Leilani Simon wanted to find the kid. But did they do anything to find their kid? We hear this in the Sebastian Rogers case too. We want to find their child. We don't want to give up looking, but nobody's looking. Nobody's trying to find a child. And to me, that don't make you guilty. But to me, it's a huge, huge red flag. Look, I can tell you this. I'm going to use Lolo, my Chihuahua, or Wrangler, the little Frenchie we got, right? I'll use them as an example. If these dogs were missing, I would do more searching for these dogs than these people did for their kids. Like, listen, you can say you was the greatest parents in the world, but if your kid is missing and you're not hunting for your kid or doing anything to find your child, you're neglecting your child right now. And if you were neglecting them now, you was most likely, when they were there, neglecting them then. Right? Like, these people live there. When I go down there and search for Summer in the hollers, I'm out there droning around and droning through the fields. I fly real low, so because I think I'm looking for bones, so I can't fly real high. So what I do is I drop the drone above a field, right? And then on my controller, I can map out what I want it to do. So I make the drone do these loops, like a pattern, like a big M, like this. So it covers the whole field. And then I program it to fly itself. And then I lower it just above the grass, right? And then I fly it real slow. So as it's flying, I'm kind of just standing there looking at the remote, right? Looking to see if it's a bone or something like that. But, when I go out there searching, I don't see anybody out there searching for Summer Wells. Right? And here's the thing, Jody Sue, you're right. I'm not from there. Why ain't y'all out there searching for this child? You got all this time to make YouTube videos about it, but y'all are there. I can tell you the reason I'm not searching, because I'm here. Financially, I can only search when I can afford to do it. And I go down there and I search. But why should it take people from other states to come there and look when you're part of this community? That's what she keeps saying. Y'all ain't from here. I've lived on Ben Hill Road my whole life. Well, then get your ass out there and search for that kid. You got all this time to sit up here and talk about F Dolly this, F Dolly that. Why don't you take some of that time and get out there and look for that child? That way, I don't have to come down there. You want me out your community? Search for the child. Don't make it to where I have to come do it. Trust me, I'd rather not come. If people were down there searching, I'd probably like, well, they got it under control. I'm good. But since nobody's doing nothing, I don't like that. I think like, man, well, somebody needs to be searching for this fucking kid. So I spend my weekends when I got free time, and I drive down to Tennessee. I go down there sometimes, don't even tell people I'm there. The last couple times I was in Hawkins County, I didn't tell anybody I was there. The only reason people knew I was there is because Andy B and Ryan Finds Truth found me in the woods. You know what I'm saying? Like, where the hell they come from, right? Where the hell did they come from? But they spotted me. And then once you seen, right? Now everybody in the holler knows I'm there. That's the thing about that. Once one person sees me, they all know I'm there. And I don't feel like I can get the things done when they're more worried about what I'm doing than what's going on in the situation, right? Because now it's going to spread through the holler like, oh, Dolly's here. Now I got to leave, right? Because I don't want any problems with the locals out there. I just want answers for this kid. And a lot of these people ain't happy with the stuff I say, right? So, and it's bad enough that the hills have eyes, right? And I mean, they really do got eyes. Like I said, I don't know who's good and who's bad. So I look at everybody like you're a suspect, right? If you out here and you in this general area, because I don't believe a stranger done this. I just don't. There ain't nothing in this world that convinced me that a stranger went up on that hill and in the middle of the creepiest place in the damn world, right? I don't think you guys realize how scary this place is unless you've been there, right? This is some shit right off a Wrong Turn. I mean, just right off the movie, like boom. It's like insert yourself into the movie Wrong Turn. The hills have lies. I mean, it's like that. And for you people that have never been there, looking at it, you had to be there. It's one of these things. There is no cell phone reception. You're in the middle of absolutely nowhere. There ain't nobody around. Something goes down. Ain't nobody to help you. You call the police. It's going to take them an hour to get to where you're at, right? If they find you, right? So it's a spooky. And then at night, oh my God, you don't even talk about nighttime out there. Oh my God, you cannot see your hand in front of your face. There's no street lights. It is pitch black. I mean, pitch black. It's so you got a little window, right? Because once it gets dark, you ain't seeing shit out there. You might as well get that up. So as soon as that sun starts to creep down, it's time to get up out them hollers, right? Because you just, and you don't know, because these are areas that people are doing illegal activities. There's damn moonshine steals. There's meth labs and stuff like that. So you're going searching and droning over people's stuff. You just don't know how people are going to react. You're hoping that nobody sees that drone, because, I fly it everywhere, so I might be flying over your yard or something. And I don't know how you're going to react to that. Are you going to come out shooting, or are you going to come out trying to, mad about the drone, or, that type of stuff. So I'm not asking everybody for permission. Can I search your property? I'm just searching your shit. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit different than everybody else. So I'm already taking a chance, right? I'm already taking a chance, because I think of it like this. Most people, if they know you're looking for something, they don't have a problem with it, especially if they ain't got nothing to do with it. They're like, oh, because most people, if you tell them, hey, I'm looking for a missing kid, I'm just out searching for, any information that may lead to what happened to this little girl. Most people are going to be cool, right? And I met a lot of people in the holler that were really cool with me being out there. Yeah, man, we ain't got no problem with you looking. That's awesome of you would do this, stuff like that. Good people act like that. They're like, man, that's awesome of you. You traveled here to do this. And you're like, yeah. They're like, damn, so they're usually super welcoming. Like I met a bunch of people on Beach Creek that were really, really nice people, good people. Like, they couldn't believe what was going on. They want the little girl found. They wouldn't have no problem. But you don't know that everybody's going to be like that, right? You just don't know. It don't take but one person to come out popping off shots and, or get upset about the drone flying over their house, or you discover something you ain't supposed to see, right? People growing stuff out there, because, in Tennessee, it is illegal. All right. It ain't like Virginia. You can grow a forest of shit and it's good here. But you go to one state over, Carolina and Tennessee, illegal as shit. And you got people with illegal grows, you got people with illegal moonshine steals, you got people distributing drugs, and so you don't want to get seen in the wrong places. So that's why usually when I drone and stuff, I find me a nice little cut somewhere. I get up in the cut, out of sight. You know, I believe in that out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. And to be honest with you, if I seen something like, you know, people growing and stuff like that, I ain't saying shit about that. I'm only there for one reason, right? I'm only there for one reason, and that's to try to find answers for this kid. If you breaking some other law, I ain't the police. I don't give a damn, right? You probably shouldn't do that. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, if you got a moonshine still and I fly over your moonshine still, I don't care. I'm not coming to mess with your steel or do anything like that. You know, I'm just there to look for this kid. That's it. And if it ain't got to do with that kid, I ain't worried about it.
And half the country's, you know, police force and all these other outfits here, they can't find her. And, you know, they're powerless to find her. But God knows where she's at. And I have to put my full faith in Him.
So what you meant by that was just you're putting your faith in God and that she's going to be okay.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that she's going to be okay, you know, because she could be anywhere. I mean, it's hard. We don't know. Nobody knows.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'd say a parent's faith and what they do might impact God's.
How many kids were taken from Candace? Wasn't it like 7? I think 7 kids. 1 kid she gave up for adoption. 1 child had like a fractured skull. Remember, she tried to shoot the CPS in Utah. So I think it's a total of 7 kids. This thing, all the kids, I don't even know the exact number, but every kid that was around her, she lost. Every dog around her, she lost. Now they've gotten more animals. Some people shouldn't be allowed to have animals. Not at all. It's just, if you can't take care of yourself, you don't need to be trying to take care of something else. It's just horrible, right? It's just horrible.
Judgment in the end, no matter what one of your children go through. I mean, say for instance, one of your kids overdoses on drugs or something, you know, that's tough.
Yeah.
You know, it's a tough situation.
Absolutely.
But I think God will consider hopefully what the parents do and what, you know, stuff like that, hopefully. Mm-hmm. Because what if she is forced to do drugs and grows up in this negative way or this negative country or who knows what, and you know, and she gets killed or whatever, and she's not in the church. I wasn't able to bring her up to church like I wanted to.
Yeah, but here's my thing about this whole church thing. Was you bringing her up in church when you was laid up with prostitutes? When you were in crack houses? Were you bringing her up in church? How come we're doing all these horrible things? Breaking in houses and stealing panties. Was you thinking about Jesus when you was doing those things? Was you like, oh, I probably shouldn't smoke this crack? Jesus is watching. Oh, I probably shouldn't beat on my wife. Jesus is watching. I probably shouldn't smoke illegal substances with my children. Jesus is watching. You say you didn't want her coming up, you know, on drugs, but yet you sitting there smoking with the boys allegedly. You know, what do you think the CPS is going to say? They test a 10-year-old child and he pisses dirty for THC. I mean, it's terrible. You know, they, like I said, kids are sponges. They're going to do what they see. And you know, if you sit there beating their mother in front of them, they're going to think it's okay to beat them. That's what they're going to think. That it's normal. That these things are normal. Drinking and doing drugs and beating on women. That's what you want your 3 boys to see as they grow up. What kind of men do you think these 3 boys would turn into living that lifestyle? They're going to be a lot like their daddy. Sad as that is. I think you take a child and not always, because you can put a child in a good environment and they still be a serial killer. Okay. It happens. But I think 90% of the time, if you put a child in a good environment and give them a good home and a good focus, they'll turn out to be really good people. It ain't always the situation because there's been pastors and real good people that have kids and then their kids turn out to be drug addicts and murderers. But for the most part, I think you got a better chance when your child is around something positive than anytime they're around a bunch of negativity and terrible things. Day 28, July 12th, 2021.
So it's killed me since she's been gone. It's just at first it was just so horrific knowing that someone abducted her and the cops are looking all around her house, knowing that she's not there. It's like you just talking to yourself. This ain't doing no good. But I wish the police they would have blocked off both ends of Beach Creek and everything else and kept it contained in our area.
I mean, just look at the house. Look at the house. Okay. This whole side of the house don't have vinyl siding on it. Okay. Just this side. You got boarded up windows. The roof looks like it's damn rotten. I mean, it's just, and then you got the dungeon down here. I mean, I don't know, for some country folk, this might be a man. If this was in my neighborhood, they would condemn it. All right. They give you 30 days or 2 months or something like that, 90 days to get it up to code. And if you didn't, they come put a big ass orange sticker on your door that says this structure's uninhabitable. You gotta have windows, you gotta have doors, you gotta have power. You can't do that. They would bulldoze this bitch in 90 days. Right? Tennessee lets people get away with a little bit more. It's the country. The city, I live in a city, you couldn't, this shit they would be like, oh hell no. They'd have you in court every day. Okay. I had a broken step on my back porch, not even my front porch. And they sent me a damn $250 fine for having a broken step. Now I've rebuilt my whole back porch. It's a nice deck, 3 levels with a tiki bar. But at the time I had a broken step. And they sent me a $250 fine. Right? So I fixed the step. You know what they did? They sent me another $250 fine for fixing the step without a building permit. Right? You wanted me to fix it. I fixed it. So they hit me with another fine. So I'm getting all these damn fines, right? So then, even after you fixed it and got the $250 fine, you got to go down there and still pay them $100 for the building permit. So to fix that step cost me $600. One board on one step on my back porch that I don't even use, right? Usually I come out the front door, walk through the gate, go into the back. I don't even really use the back porch. The back porch leads you into my kitchen, right? So I don't never use it. And yeah, that's how the city works, right? It's so wrong, right? I could have paid a contractor to come out there and rebuild the whole damn porch for $600, right? But now I fixed all that. Like I said, I got a brand new deck, everything. It leads up to the swimming pool and shit. So but I spent all last summer out there building that deck. Then they, of course, I put up some fence and they got me with another $250 for putting up the fence without a building permit. So they don't play around. You got to fix it and you got to pay them to fix it. It's just the way it is. Like I said, this house wouldn't stand where I was at. They would have this house tore down in 90 days. They just wouldn't let it go.
I'm sure she's hundreds of miles away.
Yes, they walk into your backyard. They drone. Okay, they drone over your backyard. And yes, the city here can walk into your backyard. City inspectors, yeah, they walk right into your yard. Don't give that 2 shits about your no trespassing. I got no trespassing signs everywhere. Cameras, they don't care. They walk right up. I mean, they with the city. You give them attitude, they're gonna find something to find you. Then they'll find something, right? You go out there and talk. I'm nice to them now. I went and met with a dude in court and told him I gave him my phone number. I was like, look, man, if you got a problem with something, just give me a little heads up. I ain't a rich guy. You know what I'm saying? I'll fix whatever. I'm in the process of remodeling stuff anyway and rebuilding the back porch, and I was going to get to it, but it's cold. I'm just waiting for it to warm up, you know, and you hit me with all these fines. This is money I could be fixing my shit with, right? Because I just had one bad step. And he seemed okay after he met me and talked to me at the courthouse and stuff. Because, you know, I went in there and disputed it. And then the judge didn't give a damn. Fix it. Well, you should get a permit. Like, well, like damn. And what it is the law in Virginia is if you erect any structure on your property, you are required to have a building permit. So here's the thing. I had a fence. The fence was old. So I replaced the fence. Like I took the panels down, put new ones up, right? So the fence looks my fence is brand new. My privacy fence around my house is brand new. But I added one little section of fence. And the city dude was like, I was like, I just repaired the fence. I didn't build the fence. The fence was already there. He was like, well, what about this section right here? This section wasn't there because I came there and this section's brand new. And I was like, this dude got me on one section of fence. You know, they don't play. Now I'm getting a little off track.
You know, I can't blame them or whatever, but I'm upset. I'm really upset, you know.
She said, now you got a Corvette sitting in your yard. It will cost you $500. I had a Corvette sitting in my yard before. My last car was a Corvette. Okay. I had a C5. Now I got a C7. It's just, yeah. I mean, I had a Corvette then. But like I said, I'm one person. I'm not an army of people. And I was already in the process of redoing this. For anybody's been following the channel, y'all know all this summer I redid my backyard, the deck, the pool, built the tiki bar, and I'm not even done because next summer I'm getting out there and then building a deck that goes all the way around the pool. So, but you got to ask permission because there's this thing here called the Chesapeake Wildlife Reserve. And I guess my area is in it, so it's all protected for the waterlands or something. I had no clue of this, right? But so to get this permit, I had to go to them to get them to agree to let me build a tiki bar in my backyard, right? Which I thought was the stupidest shit, right? Because I built this tiki bar in the backyard where you can walk up. It's a bar, it has a TV in it, no tiki torches and shit. And I had to ask these people for permission to build something on my own property. Let me. She goes, yeah, I guess we can let you build it. And I'm thinking to myself, what do you mean? It's my property. I own the shit. I should be able to build whatever I want to build. And then they sign off on it, and then you go get the permit. They won't even give you the permit to build it until the Chesapeake Wildlife Reserve says, okay, you can build on your property. Because I live on protected land. What the hell is that? Protected. It's mine. It's mine. Why do I have to ask permission to do something that I own? Like I own it right out. I'm not paying on it. I own it. It's mine. But yet I got to go kiss these people's ass to anything I build. If I want to build a shed, I got to go ask them permission to build a shed. If I want to build a garage, got to ask them permission to build a garage. It's like I'm jumping through all these hurdles to do anything to my house because of the way it is. So I just know now, get the permits. It's way cheaper.
But
now it's protected by the tiki man. That's right.
I mean, maybe my kids are looking at it like, well, maybe God will bring her back, or I don't know. But statistically speaking, I mean, there's a good chance she's already dead if you look at it statistically. And I hate to think that I love her with all my heart.
Do you believe that she's still alive? Do you have any intuition that she might still be out there somewhere?
I have no idea.
Yeah.
All I know is, you know, I believe in God. I don't believe in any psychic stuff.
Oh man, that stuff's horrible that they've had on. I've seen it on YouTube.
Okay, now you know me. I'm not big on psychics, right? One thing that Jody Sue Brown did say tonight, when in her, you know, I Hate Dolly campaign, is about Donna Serafina. She was a little more harsh about it and was talking about her kid passing away. I'm not going to do all that. I just don't believe. I just believe it's a scam, right? This whole stuff that she's been talking. And I know some of y'all are going to disagree with that. That's perfectly fine. I'm not trying to here to convince you. I'm just telling you what I believe. Okay. I believe all that stuff is a big old scam. And it's, to me, it's horrible. You know, I used to think no harm, no foul, but now I'm thinking it does do harm. It misdirects people in a missing kids case. So to me, there is a little harm in it. And I just don't buy it. I'm going to try to be nice about it. I'm going to try to be nice.
Tell me about that.
Well, when I come back from Utah, I was trying to move my family to Utah. I've always knew that something was going to happen to Summer. Something in my gut has always told me, and I've always told Candace, watch her closely. That's my baby. Do not let nothing happen to her. I told her that all the time.
What brought you to that thought?
I don't know. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was, or I just always had this feeling that something's going to happen to her. I didn't know if she was just going to get accidentally run over. I didn't know what it was.
Why would he say that? I didn't know if she would accidentally get ran over. Army Mom says, what's sad is they can't find these kids or arrest the parents, but can't find you for improvements they can seek. Yeah, well, maybe we need to find parents that can't find their kids. Right? That's one of those things that are like, yeah. I mean, but you know, we're talking Virginia, Tennessee. Virginia's a little more strict on everything that goes around here. Like I can tell you now, if your kid was missing here like this, Don and Candace would be in jail. They'd have been charged with child neglect, felony child neglect. Felony child neglect carries 10 years in prison. And then they're going to charge you for each kid. So what, you got 3 kids, the 3 boys, criminal child neglect, felony charges, 10 years apiece. Next thing you know, you're going to be sitting in prison for 25 years in Virginia. We got 844 likes and 1.4K in the room. You guys take a second and hit the like button so PJ don't kill me. I'm probably keeping her awake right now, and y'all ain't like the video. So before we go any farther, I want you guys to do me a solid. Take a minute, hit the like on the video, and then I want you to shout out in the chat room where you're watching my ugly face from. All right. Jody Sue hates everyone. I agree. Right. And, you know, she hates me sometimes. Then sometimes she likes me. It depends what mood you catch Jody Sue Brown in. We got 848 likes. All right. Let's get that up over to 1,000 because, you know, y'all being greedy with the thumbs up tonight. I don't see anybody else here with y'all at 2 o'clock in the morning discussing these cases. All right. Dolly Not Ugly. You from Australia, Virginia, Oklahoma, Tennessee. Awesome, guys. Thanks for being here with us tonight. And thank you for everybody that came in and liked the video without me having to say it 37,000 times. And I know y'all don't want to hear me say like the video every 5 minutes, right? That shit gets old quick. Durham, North Carolina, Michigan, Vermont. You always hit the button when you come in. Awesome. Thank you. Texas in the house. Tennessee. Thank you. Dolly got to eat too. Okay. YouTube, it helps us in the algorithm. More people see it. Of course, it brings more awareness to these missing kids. The more people talking about this stuff, the better.
Think she would be kidnapped?
Never.
as well for her. I think she knew something too. I think something was, I don't know if you believe in guardian angels or what, but there's something. There's something.
So, you know, time is of the essence. Time is of the essence. Could she still be alive in your heart?
You know, I pray for that, and I hope.
On a scale of 1 to 10.
To me, it's one or the other because of the four dreams. To me, it's either someone that's got money has her somewhere and seen her on Facebook and feel sorry for her, whatever the reasoning is.
Why would they feel sorry for her? Seen her on Facebook and feel sorry for her? Because she wasn't being treated well.
Her to get rid of evidence, and then were her last thoughts.
So do you think they would have hurt her or they would have sold her?
I think they probably would. You know, I don't. You know, I wouldn't. Who in the world? You know, I wished I knew who would buy a kid. I wished I knew that. I really do.
Me too.
Because I would surely go after him.
I have a note here. When I talked to him on July 28th, I'm reading out of my notebook. Immediately, he said, I believe she's been killed and buried somewhere after being abducted. Now, then when I first heard that on July 28th of 2021, which is less than 4 weeks away from when she was went missing, my experience kicked in and said, he knows. He knows something. Now, what we've all been grappling with for the last year is what that something is. But what I have been dealing with is, and like you, on this channel anyway, is the facts in relationship to how they were presented.
I mean, I don't think it takes a genius to realize that they know more than what they're saying. Okay. I don't think you have to be a retired police officer or homicide investigator to know something's not right. And but the reason I think Tennessee doesn't put enough pressure on the people surrounding the disappearance. You know, and I talk about Dolly law all the time about, you know, that there needs to be a law in place where, you know, your kid goes missing, you sit at the police station until your kid is found, especially under strange circumstances. Now we hold you until we find your kid. If you just don't know where your kid is at, Dolly law, right? Like, we need to treat every missing child under the age of 10 as it's a crime scene. Teenage kids, a little bit different because teenagers run away every day. Okay, they do. And usually they go stay at their friend's house and they're a couple days later they're found, or they come home, they make up with their parents. But majority of the people that are missing in this country, like runaways, they're usually found within the first 48 hours or 72 hours, right? But when we're dealing with kids under the age of 10, I believe Amber Alert should go out. It shouldn't have to be a vehicle. It shouldn't have to be signs of a kidnapping. We need to make everybody aware, especially children under the age of 10 years old, 10 and under. We need to treat it like it's absolutely a crime scene. Okay, not a runaway kid. Okay, because most 10-year-olds, they will wander. It happens. But a lot of times these are crime scenes. And people are out instantly searching, you know, trying to find a kid. And they're not sealing these places off. So evidence can't be disturbed or erased or cleaned up or anything like that. We've seen it in so many cases. John Benet Ramsey, we've seen it in Sebastian Rogers. They're allowing people to come into the house. Same thing with Summer Wells. They're allowing people coming and going. No, we shut that residence down. Right now, this is a crime scene. Don and Candace should have been removed from the home. That place should have been sealed off so detectives can get in there with Red Star and luminol and look for traces of blood or anything like that. Dogs, cadaver dogs, search dogs, everything. And we're not seeing this. They're taking the parents' word in a lot of cases and they're treating it as the kids wandered off. But I say we don't do that. It's a crime. It's not much, just a little thank you for Summer. Annie, thank you so much. We're gonna do our part no matter what. You know what I'm saying? So and you guys have blessed me with a voice up here, so we're gonna spend this voice trying to do good for these missing people. But you know, Dolly Law sounds stupid, but I think it would help in situations like this. Is this live? Absolute live. Okay. You see me? I'm alive. But we need to treat these cases of 10-year-olds and under as a crime scene. Because a lot of times they are crime scenes. So like even in the Quentin Simon stuff in Georgia, it was handled terribly. They didn't wear rubber gloves, they didn't test blood samples. I'd say under 12. Okay. Thank you, Carrie. I would say 10. 10 and under, definitely treat it as a crime scene. When you get a little older, of course, you can kind of survive out there on your own. But I think any child 10 and under out on their own is in danger. I would say you're an endangered child. A teenager, they can survive. Okay, they're rough and tough. They'll make it. But little kids, nah. So, and I think we'll get more answers like that. Treat it as a crime. Hey, y'all coming down to the station until we figure this out. Thank you, Short Legs. Thank you guys for jumping on the Blessed Express. Dolly might get to eat tomorrow if I'm lucky. All right. So yeah, like I don't think they treat missing kids serious enough. I think the Amber Alert system's broken. Like they pick and choose what kids they want to give Amber Alerts to. I think if your kid is 10 and under and goes missing, it should be an Amber Alert. Now, I ain't saying issue an Amber Alert for every teenager, but if there's signs of a kidnapping, even for teenagers, right, then we issue those. But, like some kids get Amber Alerts, some kids don't. There needs to be, because we hear the police say, well, they don't want to disturb everybody. I don't think it disturbs. You know what disturbs me is one of them calls that they call you all the damn time, telemarketers. Shut down the telemarketers and you can send me as many Amber Alerts as you want. Okay. I'm more worried about telemarketers calling me, sending me, trying to sell me extended car warranties for a car I don't even have, or them trying to sell me damn life alert or some damn timeshares than anything, right? They don't care about, they'll call you 7,000 times a day. But the police make it out to be a big deal if they vibrate your phone telling you about a missing kid. That needs to change. Okay. You get rid of the telemarketers and you can fucking blow my phone up with Amber Alerts if you want to. I get telemarketer calls every day, at least 3 of them. All right, let's jump back into Don Wells's words.
So I knew they were searching around the top of the house. So I drove immediately down to the bottom of the property, figuring they probably hadn't looked down there yet. That's the first place I went, down all the way down to the creek. And when I seen my boys down by the creek, all 3 of them together, and I seen my neighbor coming around the other side of our hill to my left, I knew at that point that Summer had been abducted, or Summer was not around, because she would never leave from around the house. So I turned the car around and drove. I don't know if I looked in the shed at that time or not, that little shed there at the bottom. I can't remember.
Okay, now we know when Don Wells came home from wherever he was at, he says work, but we don't know for a fact he was at work. But when he came home, he instantly went to that shed. He didn't go down Ben Hill Road. He drove past his house to get to that shed. What would make him go straight to that shed? That's always been a mystery to me. Like, had Summer gone down to that shed before? Because you got to think about it. If Summer was on the hill, nobody could see her, right? And strangers wouldn't know she was there. You wouldn't know she was there, right? But if you get down to the barn, that is right next to Beach Creek, and that's the busy road. Nobody goes down Ben Hill Road. There's probably fucking 10 cars a day go down Ben Hill Road, if lucky. Beach Creek, there's hundreds of cars that go down Beach Creek. People use it as a cut through on the interstate. So if she was down at the barn, you would be able to see Summer Wells. Then strangers might go, oh, there's a kid. Crime opportunity, right? Because those types of crimes do happen. Crimes of opportunity. People see something and go, oh, let me grab this. Like if you seen thieves seen a wallet sitting somewhere, they might go, oh, let me grab that. Because, you know, they may not go over and pickpocket you, but they see you set something down and forget it. They may go grab it, which I would consider a crime of opportunity. You didn't plan on going out and kidnapping a kid, but there's one right there. That's a crime of opportunity. So there's more chances if Summer went down to that barn to play that it could be a crime of opportunity, and Don and Candace don't have anything to do with it. But then that leaves us in the fact that whoever was going down that road, they were heading towards town to see Summer Wells, because if you're going the other way, you'll blow past the barn and not even see it. Right? I don't think that's the case, but something is up with it. And here's the thing. I believe Summer went outside and played all the time by herself. I don't think they watched Summer when she was outside at all. I think Summer ran around all that damn holler by herself in the road, in the street, down by Beach Creek, all by the shed, and they didn't watch her. And this day, if something did happen like that, it's because they let her go outside and play by herself unsupervised. You know, and then they blame it on the boys. Like the boys are supposed to keep up with their little sister, but they're just kids. Right. And then you could tell when the kids were on the interview on the news, they had their head down because these children probably still to this day believe it's their fault that Summer's missing. And it ain't their fault. I mean, that's what, you know, counseling and the people that are around these kids that care for them now, they need to make sure they know that, listen, this ain't your fault. You can't let a kid live thinking responsible for the disappearance of their sister when it's not that they were just kids. That's a horrible thing to put on a child, to have to grow up thinking I'm responsible for my sister missing.
I've been going around talking to, you know, all our neighbors and getting to know people in the evening time. And, you know, a lot of people have told me that if I don't know, but if somebody in this area took her, that's pretty much signing your own death warrant and being in this area. They would come after you. I don't know, but all we know is somebody definitely took her, and I'm starting to wonder if, because my wife doesn't know, you know, about TikTok and Facebook and stuff, and I didn't either. I was really not.
Yeah, she does. She had TikTok videos with Hunter where she's rubbing Hunter's face and petting Hunter, and he's all on her shoulder. Your wife was banging Hunter and definitely knew about, she was making TikTok videos. Okay, so don't, that right there is a bold-faced lie. I mean, we watched the videos. So, and to say she didn't know it when Hunter was down there making a TikTok video at the lake, they were watching TikTok. That's the reason they wasn't watching Summer when Summer went under the water, allegedly, unless they were bumping uglies, right?
Naive to any of this stuff. I still don't know anything about TikTok, but she put her pictures out there and was proud of Summer, and I'm starting to think personally that somebody's seen her on Facebook or TikTok and decided that they wanted her for herself, or you know, or it's the sex trade thing, or I don't know. We don't know, but that's what I'm starting to lean towards personally. And it's like the more I get to know people around this area and talk to them, you know, and I'm going to continue to do that every evening as much as I can, just in case you never know.
I mean, listen, I don't believe that in this case, but Don Wells makes a good point. Okay. It's scary to post your children online now, right? You never know who's watching. Okay. Like it's like we have our windows, the blinds open on our windows, and people can just peek into our lives because we share it all. Right? Everybody shares everything. So they share pictures of their kids, and this is bad because there are monsters in this world that may do something like that. Is this a situation of that? I don't think so. I don't think it's a situation here, but could something like that happen? You post pictures of your kids online, and then somebody terrible come do something to your kids because they're watching you. And this goes into the Idaho 4 thing with Maddie and Kaylee, Zena, Ethan. They lived this nice life of what appeared to be nice anyway. You never know what uh people only post the good of their life on social media anyway. Nobody usually posts the bad shit. So usually when you see people's life on Facebook, it's the best parts of their life. You don't see the sadness or the bad things. Because people don't usually post that. They just usually post the good stuff. Even me, I don't post no bad shit. It's usually when I'm having a good time or I'm out to dinner with PJ, we post, you know what I'm saying? So you really don't get a real sense of what somebody's life like is on Facebook, right? Because you see people's life, they look so great because you're only seeing the good. You're not seeing the bad aspects of their life because nobody has a perfect life. Nothing's that great for everybody, right? Everybody has been alive long enough to know that life has ups and downs. You got ups and downs in your life, but people don't really post that. But you think about it, you're opening a window to your home when you post these pictures of your kids and things online. Now, most people are smart enough these days with security features to go, okay, well, I only want my friends to see this. Like my Facebook, like some stuff I make public, but mostly it's people that are already my friends that I've accepted you as a friend on my Facebook. Don't mean you can't let a weirdo in, but he makes a good point of, you got to make sure when you post these pictures that do you want strangers seeing your kids? Because you can go into Facebook and select, okay, I want these family members to be able to see these pictures. And when you post in pictures of your kids, that's what you should do is select who could see them, not the whole world, because you don't want the whole world seeing your kids because there's a lot of bad people in this world. But I don't think most people think that when they're posting their kids because most people think like Brandy Neal, nothing happened to me. I don't think nothing happened. It's harmless, but it's better to be safe than sorry. That's how I believe, right? And you should select who sees your kids, especially if they're minor kids. Once your kids are grown, I mean, still you don't want too many people. Because look at Kohlberger. That's how he found Maddie and all them. He was watching Facebook and TikTok, and he seen these pretty girls online, and was like, okay, these are the people I'm going to hurt. And that's because he probably knew that he couldn't acquire one of these women. Like he didn't have enough game or confidence in himself that he ever thought that he could pick up one of these girls and make one of these girls his girlfriend. So instead of trying to date one, he wanted to hurt them because he just felt he couldn't get with that type of woman. That's what I think anyway.
What you might find or hear or whatever.
Do you even think that she's in Tennessee anymore at this point?
I don't know. I don't know where she's at. My daughter's already suffering wherever she is. I hope not. I hope some rich person has her that's taking really good care of her. But it's unlikely, though. I don't know his daughter. I wish for God we knew.
Australia's smart if they're banning kids. I seen that on the news too, that 16 and under can't be on social media. I think that's the best way to honestly do it. I don't think there's no good for your kid on social media. And like I said, like times have changed so much. And you know, I the last couple of days I've been watching stuff on child killers, kids that have murdered their whole families. I'm talking about 12 and under that have just snapped and murdered their whole families. And I think it's the internet. I do, because as a child, you know, these children were looking up certain things like weapon sites. They were looking at these different groups, and they ended up, you know, basically at 12 years old ordering a bunch of body armor and then knives and guns, and then they murdered their whole family. And I've done, you know, you think, okay, well, man, these are some sick little kids, right? They got something going on. Then as soon as that video ends, another video comes on with another kid that done killed his whole family. And then another kid that's saying, I mean, you can watch these videos all night of kids waking up in the middle of the night and killing their families. And I'm like, that's just way too many kids killing their families. So something's different, right? And it's the access to these sites on the internet, you know, because I still believe you're a product of your environment, of what you see and what you're exposed to. And if you're allowing kids to be exposed to these things, they think it's normal or something, you know. I mean, I couldn't really tell you why all of them do what they do, but they have one thing in common, is they're murdering their whole families. Not just like their dad, or not they get mad at the mom and murder the mom. I'm talking about killing their brothers, their little sisters, like killing the whole family. Like that's kind of gore sites. Yeah, I was going to say that, Brad. They're looking at, like, you know, when I was a kid, you couldn't watch people get cut up with a chainsaw by the cartel. You couldn't watch ISIS behead people. You couldn't see that. You never seen nothing like that. I've only seen that stuff as an adult. Even when I was young, you had Playboy. If you was lucky, you might, you know, you had a little bit of Hustler. But even then, it wasn't like that bad. Now, the perversions that are on the internet, oh my God. You search the wrong thing on the internet and you'll see some shit, even as an adult, that you cringe at. Like, oh my God. And this is common practice these days, you know. And I'm one of these people that believe some of this stuff that they're showing, especially stuff that degrades women, are extremely dangerous. Extremely. Because it makes you think it's okay to hurt people. And it ain't never okay to hurt people. And they showed that there's a lot of this type of stuff on the internet. Now, I ain't going to get into the whole 50 Shades of Grey thing, right? I think in a nice, respectful way, I think y'all know some of the things I'm talking about. You know, chains, whips, leather, and this whole. And listen, what you do behind your private doors, that's fine. That's do whatever you do to, you know. But for kids to be seeing this stuff at such a young age, this type of violence going on, and like it make them think that all women like this type of behavior, right? And that's so not the case. So I mean, if Virginia has done something where if you're under 18, you cannot get on to these sites. They make it where you have to verify, show your ID to get on to these sites. Now, it ain't like that everywhere, but I know that's a new Virginia law that passed last year, and I think it is a great law, and it should be a national law. It's basically, let's protect our kids, not just from themselves, because kids may have, you know, listen, as a kid, let's be honest, you're pretty curious, right? But curiosity is one thing. When you get into some of these sites that are like, oh my God. So let's block our children from being able to get to them and not be so accessible. And like I said, a lot of these sites are free sites too. You don't even got to pay for it. You can just go on it and watch whatever the hell you want to watch. And some of it's beyond what it needs to be. Okay. I think a lot of people were good with Playboy and Hustler for 20 years, but now it's done went to a whole new realm of bad stuff. And I believe that people see this stuff and I don't know, it gets somewhere in their brain and then they start to have these fantasies. And then after a while, just like Ted Bundy said, you can only fantasize about something for so long before you actually want to do it. And Ted Bundy always said that pornography turned him into a serial killer. And think about that. Ted Bundy was watching like little softcore stuff on like, your late night Cinemax, not what's going on in this world today. So you got kids watching people get beheaded. You got them watching the most perverted shit you can humanly think of on the internet and expect them to grow up to be good members of society, right? So I just think it's terrible. I honestly believe we are breeding serial killers. We're breeding them like a breeding ground. It's just so bad. And I don't think it's going to get any better, right? I think we're so far along now that how do you fix these types of things? I just know this. When I was young, there was none of that. None of it. It wasn't accessible. It wasn't even thought about. It was now it's horrible. Taxi cab confessions blew your mind.
Well, I think it's good for people. I think it's good for people to hear you mad and upset at whoever did this, because usually like last night when you came on my panel, you were like, when I asked you, what do you think should happen to whoever did this, you were kind of lenient. You know what I mean? I mean.
What you tell me, okay? All right, you tell me someone takes your kid and abuses them. You tell me, Ziggy, what do you do with them?
Dolly, look up generated that has been banned. I don't try to look at nothing too horrible these days, as a young person, I had that same interest. We had VHS tapes and they showed Faces of Death, right? But by then you was a teenager to get your hands on it. And it was basically different people dying and bodies and things like that. And I think what made that so popular was that somebody telling somebody and then you getting, curiosity. And we know curiosity killed the cat, right? But as a child, 13, I would hear people talking about, the Faces of Death movies. You may be able to find them at your local video store. So as a teenager, you're in there, hey, you got Faces of Death. And then, at that time, that was really extreme. A lot of people say it was fake. I mean, I'd still to this day, I don't know if Faces of Death was fake or real or whatever it be, but it was pretty bad. I wouldn't suggest kids be watching that type of stuff, but as a kid, you're going to try to, if it's sharp, you're going to touch it. It's one of those things. It's always, but as one thing too, if you have a real open relationship with your kids and they can talk about you with anything, you'll go farther. If you try to punish your kid for everything, they're going to be sneaky, right? So you got to let your kids get away with a little bit, right? This is what I think. That way they're good with talking to you about things. You don't want your kid to be scared to tell you anything because then they'll never tell you nothing. And then you'll miss out on that. I'd rather you be honest with me and let me know what's going on right, what you doing, and I ain't gonna get mad at you, then not tell me, and me have to worry about what's going on. And I would say parenting boys is going to be a little different than parenting girls. So you have to build some type of trust and relationship where your kids are not scared of you, because if they're scared of you, they're most likely going to lie to you because out of fear. So you don't want your kids scared of you. I believe in it. If you use disappointment, like I'm disappointed in you, right? I thought better. It works good, right? But like, I don't know, parenting for everybody's a little bit different, but I would suggest having a decent relationship with your child and talking to your child. Like, some people get so busy that they don't take time to talk to their kids. Like, hey, what are you doing? How was your day? What'd you do today? Anything crazy happen? And still, Tiff's 25, but I talk to her every day. If not at least 3 times a day. And my daughter, she'll be 26 soon, right? But I still talk to her 3 times a day. I talked to her this morning. I talked to her this afternoon. She came by today too. So, but you got to have this relationship where she tells you what she's doing, right? Like Tiff was she was in I hate to tell her business, but she went to this concert and she was hanging out in the parking garage. I said, "What are you doing?" She's like, "Well, I'm sitting here waiting for my friends to finish smoking." Right? I was like, "You better not be smoking." She's like, "I'm not. They are. But don't worry, I'm driving." And I was like, "Okay," because Tiff don't smoke, right? But she was open enough to tell me that, hey, the girls I'm with are sitting here smoking. So you want to have a relationship where your children are honest about. She could have been like, "Oh, nothing's going on, Dad. We're just hanging out." But she was open enough to tell me, "Hey, they're drinking and smoking, but I'm the D&D." You want to have that relationship where what's going on, because you don't want to be in a situation involved in something that now something happens and you all surprised by it, right? So I guess just being, where I'm not going to be mad at you, but I want to know what's going on. Even if you've grown, like she may be 25 years old, but she's still my kid. You know what I'm saying? I want to know where you're at, what you're doing, who you're with, right? And I didn't even know her little friends smoke. They're mostly nerdy, right? That's kind of surprised me. I was even kind of surprised. I was like, "What?" But she was honest enough to say what was really going on, and that's where you need to be at with your kid. Because I would hate for her to lie to me. I'm glad she told me what was really going on, because I feel like I can trust her more, knowing, hey, if you're in a situation, you're really going to tell me what's happening.
Oh, yeah, well.
No way. I don't understand why it's so difficult for people to comprehend that some sorry, sleazy son of a bitch come up here and stole our fucking daughter. Why is that so hard to comprehend? What the fuck is
Because nobody can find you, Don. I can tell you exactly why it's hard to comprehend. Because you live in the middle of nowhere. If you didn't know your house was there, nobody would even know it's there. And who is going to be brave enough to really go up on somebody's property in the hills unless they know you? Now, I ain't saying it's impossible that somebody went up there and kidnapped somebody else. What I'm saying is it wasn't a stranger that went up on that hill. Whoever went up on that hill is familiar with the holler. They're familiar with Summer. They're familiar with Don and Candace. They're familiar with the whole neighborhood. And they wouldn't seem out of place if you pulled down Ben Hill Road and they were there. If she's been kidnapped. Right? I mean, I don't 100% rule out a kidnapping. I just don't think there's been a kidnapping. Is it possible? Absolutely possible. Is it possible Summer wandered off? Yes, absolutely possible. Is it possible something bad could have happened to her? I would say, yeah, look how she was being raised. So I don't rule nothing out. I just want answers. Now, I lean just like most of you guys in here and think that they have something to do with it. And hopefully we'll get down to the bottom of it eventually. I think the truth will come out.
I think it's
up there though at the perfect timing and everything? Do you think it was somebody?
Because they're fucking criminals.
Criminals. Day 152, November 13th, 2021.
Well, yeah,
You can't teach other people because nobody wants anybody talking to their kids about
Summer. Then let's talk about Summer. Where is she? She's probably being traded off for drugs and money, everything else. Yeah, I hope not either. But let's talk
there's
about
nothing you could have ever done or said or anything to prepare her for that.
why would my daughter for no other fucking reason?
Then what?
There's no other reason that someone. Why would someone take my daughter?
Johnny, we don't know. You don't know. There's lots of different reasons, and I know.
I didn't recognize it at the time. I was too young and stupid to understand. But looking back, I get it. California. No, you know a lot of shit in my time. You guys
I'm wondering about if Allie is in.
Hold up. You guys gonna start this?
No, I just think that Allie.
Now tell me he don't look like a good Christian man. Okay? You see the mug shots? You notice how he talks, and then he'll go to Jesus, and I don't buy the Jesus stuff at all. When he starts going to Jesus, it's because he don't want to answer a question. Is this guy a good guy? This is what gives real Christian people a bad name. That's why people think less of Christian people, because there's some bad actors in the church, right? That's why some people don't go to church. Now I know what Jesus said. Bad people are the ones that need it. Right? Good people don't, they're already with God. It's the bad people. That's why Jesus hung out with bad people. It's because they're the ones that needed them. But there's nothing about this dude that makes me think he's walking with Jesus. He's going to change his ways or become a better person. I think if it's worse when you get out here and be a bad person and you use Jesus for your benefit, right? You're Jesus in me. 2 beers in, you be like telling me to kiss your ass and saying nasty, disturbing things. Just foul. So I don't buy the whole Jesus bit whatsoever.
With some things like
I'm gonna break out before it's all over with. Nobody's gonna know who the fuck it was. You guys will care about the fucking.
I mean, look at the mug shots. Like, wow, bro. Wow. You look like something off Zombieland, okay? Like you could be straight in a zombie movie.
Johnny, if you do something stupid, I won't be the number one suspect.
No, I won't be.
I reckon you'll be. As a father, they're gonna automatically think it was you.
I lived in.
Look at him. He looked like he just left damn a Willie Nelson concert there.
Stockton, California. I've lived in fucking San Diego. I've lived in fucking all over.
That's my favorite one right there. That's my favorite Don Wells mugshot. And that's when you're getting too old to sit in jail, right? And the young boys run the pod. And you're just like, man, I don't want to go up in here. If this ain't the best picture of Don Wells ever, I don't know which one is. But there's nothing about this dude that says Christian man to me. And when people use God like that, that makes me so skeptical of you, right? Because a real Christian person that believes God's their Lord and Savior, they're not going to throw that in your face every time they in a situation, right? They just ain't. But let me tell you, I believe everybody has, bad things in them, right? And you work on trying to become better and better and a better person. But then there's some people that are just so far out there, right? That they have a long journey. Like some people, we still fixing little things with ourselves. Even me. I catch myself judging people and doing things that probably ain't the best things. But now I realize I'm doing it. And then I try to be like, oh, I probably shouldn't do that. And I try to fix those little things. And then there's people so far away from even being a decent human being, right? Because I just truly believe you don't got to be a great person. You just need to be a decent person, have some honor, respect, to yourself. And when I like I said, when I see these people that jump straight to God and they push it on you, like it's because they're trying to convince you that there's somebody else. Like you see this, but I want you to believe I'm this. And they do that. Like we seen it with like T-Rev. And then as soon as T-Rev, for you guys, as soon as things went bad for him, he was straight to F you. I don't, just blah, blah, into a nasty person. Well, what it was you was that nasty person the whole time, right? When that veil came down and people got to see it, now you know why I fake it now. They know I'm not a good person. So Don Wells uses this veil of, Jesus and the church and all these things. That right there, huge, huge red flag, right? You're just trying to hide the demon that you are. Okay. Has anybody seen Natural Born Killers? I watched it today. PJ had never seen it, so I watched it with her. Has anybody seen Natural Born Killers? Anybody seen it? If you press 1 in the chat, if you've seen Natural Born Killers, the movie, real quick. It's an old one. Got Woody Harrelson. What's the I forget the girl's name. I loved it. Okay, well, there's a part. Good movie. Okay, well, y'all remember this part in the movie? They go to a Indians camp. Like they're on the run from the police. They take a turn. Julia Roberts. That ain't Julia Roberts. It's Juliette Lewis. There you go. Thank you, guys. Juliette Lewis. She was just at that crime convention I was at. Not crime convention, horror convention. Well, there's a part in the movie where they take a wrong turn. They go down into this little like teepee house, and there's this Native American in there, like a shaman or whatever you want to call him, and he's in this little thing, and they're out of gas, so they need gas. But when they go in there, it's him and his grandson. But when he sees them, he sees the demon in them, right? So when on the screen, as they're sitting there and they're showing the picture of Juliette Lewis and Woody, across them says demon, and he can see that they're demons, right? And he tells his grandson they got the sickness inside of them. He can see it, like the veil is down for him, and he can see what's in their souls, kind of, right? And they end up killing him. But when they kill him, he tells them, I've seen these demons before in my dreams, right? That I knew what you was. He even told a story of a woman sees a snake freezing and dying. So she takes it home. And this is the best part of the movie, I think, right? So he's telling them the story. He's like, well, she sees the snake freezing and it was on the verge of dying. So the woman takes it home and nurses the snake back to health. And the snake bites her. And she looks at the snake on the verge of dying and says, I took you in. Why did you bite me? And the snake said, bitch, I'm a snake. You knew I was a snake. For anybody ain't seen the movie. So he knew when he let these people in, they were demons. Is the moral. He knew they were demons. He let them in knowing that it was his time to die, right? Because he had foreseen this. And the reason he told the snake story is because they were snakes, and he knew by helping them, he was helping a snake. This is a little food for thought, all right? But yeah, don't help a snake, because in the end, that snake is going to bite you, because it will always be a snake. You ain't, just because you help something, don't mean you changed what it is. All right. Yeah, but he said, bitch, you knew I was a snake when you picked me. Yeah, you knew I was a snake. Right. So that's, I think it's a good moral, for a good story for people to hear. Like, listen, you knew what I was when you don't act like you didn't know. Right. Everybody wants to, there's some people you can help, and there's some people you can't help. And this dude right here is a snake. Okay. If you took Don Wells in and you patched him up, he would bite you every time. He would bite you every time. And that's the moral of this, is you can't, there's some things, he's a monster. He's a demon. You can't help monsters and demons. They're going to be what they are. And some people can see it and some people can't. But, the Native American guy, he could see the demons, the sickness inside.
I've lived in fucking Florida. I've seen this shit with my own eyes, but didn't recognize it at the time. But now looking back, I understand what was happening. I tried to save some of these young girls. I get it. I understand. You guys don't know what I've seen. You guys try to shut me the fuck up.
No. I tried to on it because you've been drinking and I don't want to talk.
Yeah, but that's why I'm being truthful with y'all.
I mean, it's just, we're a little off the, no, I get why you're angry. Like, I totally get it. And I would be messed up every night until all day long.
My daughter's probably on the fucking streets right now somewhere. Nobody's listening to me.
Donnie, we can't do anything.
I know where she's at.
I know where she's at.
In a fucking motel room somewhere with some fucking weirdo fucking motherfucker trying to sell her for a little bit of crack cocaine.
Okay. With some weirdos trying to sell her for a little bit of crack cocaine. Now, who's the only weirdo we knew that went to hotels and did a bunch of crack cocaine? Right? Remember he said he had the police following him, and he went out and, they were thinking he sold the baby. So he went out and bought a bunch of crack and did $3,000 worth of crack in a night because he didn't need the money. But yet his house is falling apart. Can you imagine how much work he could have done on his house with $3,000? He could have put in some new floors. He could have finished vinyl siding the other side of the house. He could have built them steps. He could have did a lot, right? But he says he knows where his child's at. She's in a hotel, but somebody's selling her for crack. Now, there are people out here that do prostitute people out. They do. It's terrible. There's been a lot of kids rescued from people like this. Even when I was in trucking school, I had to take a class on sex trafficking, because a lot of people that are trafficked are through truck stops. Believe it or not, they sell these kids and people at truck stops to truckers. And there's a lot of times where there's these truck stops, there's usually these seedy ass hotels too. And there's a network of crime that goes around in that world. And, some people reported things, truckers, and saved a bunch of kids' lives. So part of this class I had to take was a bunch of kids that were sitting around telling their stories that were rescued. And there was one child that said she was kidnapped at 11 years old. She was outside waiting for a bus, and somebody grabbed her. And two men grabbed her, and they took her to this house and chained her to the bed. And every day they would shoot her up with dope for like 2 weeks. Then they unchained her. They started prostituting her. And she said she went back to them every night. They didn't have to watch her. They didn't have to do nothing. She was hooked on the drugs. And the only place she knew to get those drugs were them. and she would steadily go back to them. So from going from being a prisoner, now she was a willing participant in being sold as a slave. And you think that just sounds so horrible. They got this girl strung out on drugs. So she relied on them. And she was out there at 11 years old selling her body at truck stops. And then a trucker had seen her and called the police. And they arrested her and raided the home of where she was being kept. And there was like 4 other girls that they had done the same thing to. So from that one call, like 5 kids were rescued. And of course, they had to all go into rehab facilities, have mental health counseling, and to realize what had actually happened to them. Because it not only do you have to get them off the street, but you got to get them clean from a deadly drug. And it was just some horrible, horrible stories. And it was like a 6-hour class, and you just had to sit there and listen to all these kids. But it made you realize that, yeah, there are kids that are grabbed. I mean, kidnapped all the time, all over the country. And like I said, that you think, well, how could they hold these people? And that's how they do it. They make these kids dependent on them, and then the kids don't run. They bring back the money. They hand over the money. They get to do some drugs, and then they repeat the cycle while they making somebody a bunch of money. I mean, the sex trafficking is $1 billion industry. It's crazy, right? You wouldn't think it's that much of that going on, but it is. But it's people like this. Now, how do we know Don Wells didn't sell Candace for crack to some pimp? Right? Because, he was sleeping with prostitutes, and he was going and buying crack, and he was going to these crack hotels. How do we know he didn't meet somebody and they said, well, look, we'll give you this for your daughter? And they are selling her out of hotels, little seedy hotels or something like that. And it's sick to think like that, because normal people don't think like that. But we ain't talking about normal people. We're talking about the worst of the worst.
I know how it works. Before I pulled up in a fucking motel room.
Donnie, stop letting your fucking mind go there, okay?
I've already been there. I've seen
Stop it. You can't do this.
So he's already been there. He's already seen it. Was that a recent phone call, Dolly? I'm just sick. Well, these phone calls, it has the date on them before we play it. This was like, I think 152 days after Summer Wells was missing. And this channel we're watching is LTL. Hold on, let me make sure I get it right. And they have been putting a lot of these clips together on Summer Wells. So shout out to this channel. Let me see. LTL is the channel. And I think it's like Live Through Laughter or something like that is what it means, but it's LTL on L.T.L. on YouTube. And they have been putting this together in like a timeline of what has been said.
Unhealthy. Drinking is unhealthy. It makes you angry. It makes you go there.
I'm just telling you what I'm telling you what I've seen with my own eyes.
Well, I've heard them rumors that he tried to sell one of the kids for drugs. I don't know if that's true. I mean, I have heard that. Like, I haven't seen proof of that, but I have heard that he was trying to sell one of the kids previously for some drugs. But you know how the internet is. It's hard to distinguish what is real and what ain't real, because so much stuff has been said. I think the waters in this case have been really muddied by people saying false things and psychics and different things. It's hard to really get to the bottom of everything. But I mean, his own statements would be like enough at least to bring him down there and question him more or something, right? But I think we're dealing with a career criminal. We ain't dealing with just an average criminal. Don's been in and out the jail system for a long time. Candace, former Carney. These people, they're not smart people, but they're street smart people. There's two different things. Like, I always consider myself 50-50. You know, book smart, a little bit street smart. I think that's really how you got to be in this world. To realize that there's so many con men and hustlers and stuff like that, that people ain't always what you perceive them to be. If you have a little bit of street smarts, you can see these things. You know, if you're too smart, you know, just book smart, you're in a world of trouble. I think you're at a disadvantage in the world. I think sometimes it's better to have street smarts than book smarts. If you're out and about. Now, if you just somebody that sits at the house and don't involve yourself in anything outside of that world, I think it's a lot better to be book smart. You're gonna make more money. You're gonna have a better job. You're gonna, you know, these things. But if you're so easy to take advantage of, if you think everybody's good and we live in this kumbaya world and nobody's out to hurt you, you're foolish. That's where you made your first mistake. And people take advantage of stuff like that. They know that majority of people are just good people. But these street hustling drug addicts and drug dealers, and they know better. They have a different view of the world and how everything operates, where they don't have a conscience for hurting people or doing you dirty or foul or underhanded or plotting or scheming. Most good people, most book smart people don't think like that. That's that street mentality, you know, like, but I think you have to have some experience and be around it enough to see that people are bad, that the majority of people you think are decent people are not really decent people, that you got to be careful of everybody. The best con people are the ones you don't know are con people. Just like this man's not religious, right? This man would do foul things, and then as soon as you went to him, he'd be like, well, you know, Jesus says this and that. Well, Jesus wasn't saying that last night when he was punching Candace around the house. Jesus wasn't saying that when you was laid up with prostitutes. Jesus wasn't saying that when you were spending your whole check on crack cocaine. You know what I'm saying? So you got to really, like, he's just a hustler. He thinks he is. He thinks people believe his shit, right? In his mind, he thinks he's getting over on people, but really, he's not. Like, you're not fooling anybody, but he thinks he is. Okay. And long as he thinks he is, he's good with that. Like, oh yeah, they believe this, they believe that. Nobody believes none of that shit. I don't believe nothing that comes out this man's mouth.
I believe that you have seen her. I did not understand it when I was younger. I get that. I took this one girl off the street once. I'm like, what are you doing out here in the fucking crack town? She's like, she was like, I took her to her fucking house. It was some old black woman. She had a bunch of kids in their runaway. Okay?
That happens all over the fucking place.
I know, but I didn't understand it when I was there. But look,
I'm sure you didn't. Now you're a father and you have a little girl. And I'm still with you.
So Don Wells said he was out picking up kids off the street. That's what I heard. I was in Cracktown, seen this little girl. I picked her up, took her back to her house, a black lady with a bunch of other little kids. So you're saying you picked up a little kid off the streets in Cracktown, right? And then there was that woman that said Don was creeping on her child. Does anybody remember that? And he said, oh, I was just trying to bring her home. She was out and about and I seen her and I was just trying to, you know, and the mother called him by the house. And this lady said that Don was creeping on her child. We've heard the story of Don's sister, right? So does this man, is Candace might not be the only one that like him young. I mean, it's so hard to say, man, and it's just so bad to think like that. But there's sick people out here in this world we live in, and it's just terrible to hear him say this, because if you was in Cracktown, what was you doing in Cracktown? You ever hear me say, man, I was in Cracktown? You know why? Because I ain't in crack. I don't do crack. Right? So why would I be in Cracktown? Right? I mean, if you broke down, I have told stories where I broke down in the hood, driving through, getting to work. But why would you be in Cracktown? You know, and you do that. So most likely you was probably out there looking, and I don't know. I know a lot of prostitution and drugs go together. Where there's one, there's usually the other. And I can tell you now, I don't know where they sell children. I've never been around nobody selling children. Like that's a little bit different realm of world of who you hang out with. Now, if you hang out with trash, you're probably gonna see some trashy shit. I'm sure of it, right? If you don't, if you're a person that chooses not to associate with them type of people, like let's just say I get in a car and you like, yo, I'm going to go do this. I'm gonna be like, well, let me out. I ain't about that shit, right? So I wouldn't be in those environments to be exposed to these types of things. Just like when I hear Pandrew say he was on the black web, like I couldn't tell you how to do that or how to get on it or where you know, I've never even searched it, never to, because here there's bad things up there. Why would I go somewhere where there's nothing but bad? And if you tell me, Dolly, there's some good stuff, you know, and it's, I would go check out some goodness, but I ain't gonna go check out something that's just purely bad. That's not my type of environment or situation I would want to put myself in. Soon as I hear like Pandrew say, yeah, I'm on the black web, I'm looking for videos of Summer. Well, so you're basically probably looking at other kids while you look for Summer. That I think you should leave that up to detectives, not weirdos. You know what I'm saying? That's a little weird to me because you're sitting there like, oh yeah, I was looking to see if they had videos of both. So basically, you're giving yourself a reason why you looking at inappropriate things. And like, if that dude was in jail, arresting him right now on one of these YouTube shows, the How to Catch a Weirdo shows, would anybody be surprised? I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be like, damn, it took him that long. He basically pells on himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I was a cop, I'd be searching his computer all day long. I'd be all up in that bitch. I'd be like, oh, hey, we gotta get a search warrant. This dude's done said some things that are you know, and another, who was the dude? Keegan Kline. Remember Keegan Kline in the damn Delphi murders? He wasn't arrested, but they arrested Richard Allen. But I believe Keegan Kline is the real culprit. And of course, in Keegan Kline's computer, he had hundreds of images of small children. And he was also the one communicating with Abby and Libby. But you got to have some weirdo in you to be that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know what to say about that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, it don't register in my mind like that because I don't think like that. So when I watch these videos all the time, I probably watch them every day on YouTube. Like people get busted on, I shout this dude out all the time. Skeeter, right? You just got Skeeted in 4K. And they got this, the Air Gordon guy, I guess, well, I forget his name, but they're about to take his stuff off YouTube because YouTube's funny about these people getting busted. I don't know why. I think it should be shown. I think I believe it's a part of spreading awareness that these people are real and they're really out there. And it's not always who you think it's going to be. Like there's a clean cut guys, military people, lawyers, damn, like there's a lot of people. And you ever notice when somebody does something horribly bad, it's always the people like, oh, I never thought that dude would do that. I live next door to him. He was always a good guy. It's always the person you don't suspect. So usually when the crazy, weird looking fucking people, it's never them. It's always the dude next door or a person that looks like a normal person that you walk by and like, hey, how you doing today? And it always looks like a good person. Like I was watching one last night where the dude was like, I think he was in his 20s. He was a young guy and he worked construction on the roads and he ran. Anybody watch Skeeter? He ran up in these people's yard, but the police ended up catching him. And but he didn't look like the type of person. And then he said, "Well, I knew it was a setup, so I came to see the setup." Like, no, you didn't, dude. You came to meet a small child, and you got caught, and now you trying to act like you knew it was a setup. Ain't nobody in their right mind going to walk into a setup. So you do have all these people that would not only go meet a child, but pay to have relations with a child, or don't care and don't ID. You know what I'm saying? Like, there was this crack dealer on YouTube. She says, Dolly said something about her selling drugs to kids, and she got all mad and said, "I never sold drugs to kids, but I guarantee you this: you didn't ID one person you sold them to." You ever seen a drug dealer IDing anybody? Anybody? You ever seen somebody like, "Oh, hold on, before I say you just crack, I need your ID"? No, they don't do that. So you don't know who you sold to. You don't know who that stuff fell the hands into. You know how many people have lost their life over these hard drugs? And then some people think it's okay to be a drug dealer? Think about all the families that have lost their loved ones because of the shit you've pushed onto the streets. Did anybody see Donald Trump blow up the boat? Anybody see that? His war on drugs, the Venezuela speedboat. Did anybody see that? He hit that shit with a missile, blew the boat up, right? And then there were survivors. So you know what he did? He hit him with another missile. No survivors. I was like, Dad is brutal. that is the war on drugs right there. That shit sends a message. If that didn't send a message, I don't know how you send a message. That was shit sent me a message. I was like, holy shit. Right? You seen that? Y'all seen that? Right? I was like, damn. And listen, I told PJ, I was like, they've been talking about this war on drugs, right? But it don't look like a war. It don't look like a war to me. That looked like a war. Okay. That shit looked like, wow. Like, oh my God, no survivors. They went back with the people swimming in the water. You got to go. You got to go. No survivors. So, the person getting on the next speedboat full of Colombian Bam Bam, they're like, I mean, we're going to have to up my pay a little bit. The last person that did this got hit with a missile. A Hellfire missile just flew out the sky and no, hell no. Would you want to get on that boat after seeing that shit? Oh no, not me, buddy. That's a war there. I ain't, you don't mess with Trump, man. I hate to say it. You don't mess with that dude. He, no mercy whatsoever, boy. I was like, wow. You at least arrest the people that are swimming away, pull up in boats and arrest them. Oh, no, you ain't going to jail, buddy. You going to meet Jesus. Like y'all saw that? That's mission accomplished. Right, says Jennifer. I mean, that's tough love right there. That's tough love. But listen, look at all the people that die on the streets, right? I've had my friend Twiz die. Steve-O died. I mean, I've had so many friends I've lost to, this whole epidemic that's going on in the world we see today of people, these things coming across our borders. And I don't want to see anybody die, right? But at the same time, how many lives have they destroyed? How many lives have they destroyed? How many families are crying right now, every day that people OD every day in this country, and the thousands of people dying every day. I was talking to PJ, and this is funny because I want to open a business. I've been talking about opening this ice cream shop or something else, my own little business. And we were talking about business ideas in the car, and she said, at the rate this country's in, you should open a funeral home. I was like, what? And she's like, look how many people are dying every day. Right? It's a business, a booming business. They like selling coffins, selling urns, funeral home, that type of stuff. And I was like, that is the craziest thing. I want to open a business where I enjoy going to work, right? Where I enjoy doing it. I don't think I would enjoy dealing with sad people every day. But her concept is right. If you open that type of business, you would profit because there's so much death and so many people ODing and getting shot and dying that it's a booming business. Benny Works Funeral? What does that mean? I mean, sad as that sounds, right? But if you're trying to make a buck, I don't know if I could do that though. I'm more like I said, I want to open me a little ice cream shop or something, soda shop, candy shop somewhere, or I want to open a bar. Two way different things. But I think the bar would be more profitable, right? But a lot more to start up, right? A lot more to start up a bar as far as cost and insurance and people fighting and that type of stuff. I think it'd be more profitable than like a little ice cream shop. But I've been eyeing me little locations. I've been thinking about, trying to open me up a little ice cream shop. And I think about opening up one in the mall. And I go into the mall and they just opened a damn ice cream shop in it. I was just thinking, I thought about that months ago. And somebody done beat me to it.
Now that looking back after I run it through my brain a couple thousand times, now I understand it now. I didn't understand it when I was right there.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the same thing you are. As far
These are Don's words.
Abducted, human trafficking, lured away, tortured or hurt, locked away, can't play outside, in a dungeon, see her in the resurrection. Say one of your kids overdoses. What if she's forced to do drugs or is killed? I mean, that's some terrible stuff, Don Wells. Most parents wouldn't say that. I had to say their behavior is definitely odd, right? I can't say that they're guilty. I lean more towards they have knowledge of what has happened to Summer Wells. I still don't think they purposely done anything to Summer Wells. I don't. I think whatever transpired is because they were drunk on drugs and something's happened. I just don't think they killed Summer Wells. I never have. Right? That's the weird thing, because a lot of people believe that they did purposely hurt Summer Wells. I just always felt different than that. That I believe they've covered it up, and however Summer died is because of their neglect. So they are responsible. But I just thought they were drug addict, neglectful parents, and something's happened. And instead of reaching out for help, they knew they would get in trouble, and they covered it up. Dolly, you said it took Don 20 minutes to get home, right? There is a pilot truck stopped and two others in Tennessee, 20 miles from his house. Now, listen, he says took him 20 minutes, but I don't think he was ever in Johnson City. According to Candace, he wasn't. According to him himself, he wasn't. According to Hunter, he wasn't. Now, do I believe any of these people? I don't think I believe any of them. It's hard when everybody in the whole story's a liar, right? Like, who do you believe? Do you believe one liar over another liar? It's hard to pick out what is truthful, because listen, we're dealing with a bunch of lies and we're picking what truths we want, which sucks, because if you had one honest person in this, we would have somebody to believe. But we don't. Allie's a liar. Hunter's a liar. Candace is a liar. Don's a liar. Jody Sue Brown's a liar. Everybody's a damn liar. right? All the way to Fred and Ziggy. Everybody's a damn liar. So who do we believe? Right? Who do we believe? We have no real good source of, everything that's coming out is coming out from a bunch of people that have told nothing but lies. What about a yogurt shop, Dolly? It's better than ice cream and so many flavors. And it's a healthy choice too. I don't like yogurt. Okay. If I'm going to sell something, I want to sell something I like. I ain't selling yogurt. And speaking of selling stuff, all right, I got Dolly soap, body wash on sale, half off, by dollysoap.com, and it's the best stuff around. It ain't no joke, right? It ain't no joke. So if you haven't checked out my soaps and lotions and body washes, t-shirts, hoodies, like I said, we're running a sale right now. All the soap and body wash is half off when you use promo code Dolly Rocks. Now, I think it's only going to be on sale for the next 2 weeks. Okay. A week and 10 days, something like that. And then it goes back to regular price. But we want people to be able to get it that usually can't get it, right? Because my soap is a little pricey, but you get what you pay for. I'm telling you, once you use it, you'll always use Dolly soap. So make sure you check it out at buydollysoap.com. And a lot of people ask me to play this, so maybe I'll play this tonight real fast. Right here.
Hey guys, have you washed your ass crack and your titty flaps today? Is your soap leaving you a little bit dry and your clam just a little bit crusty? If that's the case, you're in the right place. I'm Dolly, the creator of Dolly's Luxurious Lather Bars, the best soap in the world. And I'm here to tell you, your soap ain't shit. It's filled with harsh ingredients and chemicals that you can't even say. Some of it is even made by doctors that ain't even doctors. And let me tell you, this right here, downright disgusting. Your flaps deserve better. Here at Dolly, we take every crack, flap, crevice in consideration. We only use the best 100% all natural ingredients because we care about your lady parts. Every bar is handcrafted by me, Dolly, and we carry some of your favorite scents such as raspberry lemonade, pink sugar, our version of love spell, Caribbean haze, and a ton more. To add the full luxury to your bath experience, don't forget.
Okay. That was just the soap. BuyDollySoap.com right now. Like I said, stuff is half off when you use promo code Dolly Rocks. One word, all capital. Wash your flaps, people. Now, the whole site, if you use the promo code Wash Your Flaps, it's 15% off everything. But just for soaps and bar soap and body wash right now is 15% off. And I got a bunch of, if you order lotion, I'm throwing in a bath bomb with the lotion. If you order body wash, I'm throwing in a loofah for like the first 25 orders or something like that. It ain't nothing great, but it's a loofah, right? Some of them have little teddy bears on them. I mean, it's just an extra throw in. But right now, it's the cheapest it's ever been. Okay. So, and like I said, it's going to be on sale for the next 10 days. Make great stocking stuffers, help support the channel, keeps Dolly alive, keeps these lights on. All right. Ain't a whole lot of money being made on YouTube for AdSense revenue here. So we don't got millions of views. So we got to do what we got to do to survive. And I'm telling you, once you try my products, everybody always thinks it's a joke at first because, I'm kind of silly up here on YouTube, but I do. I make the best soap around. If you're familiar with like Lush or the high-end soaps, my soaps are on that scale, right? I think I'm better, but that's just my opinion because I make it. But I've used these soaps, right? So I've kind of tested it to see which one's better. And I think my shit is better, just to be dead honest with you. And a lot of people, if you've never bought my soap, ask the people in the chat that have, and they'll tell you, hey, Dolly soap ain't no joke. Okay. So get you some while you can. Also, before I get out of here, I want to tell you guys about our Christmas wish campaign, right? Because we're going to be really pushing it for the next couple weeks every day. And what it is we have a Give, Send, Go set up. And that Give, Send, Go is where you can donate to help a family. So we're going to buy 3 families Christmas this year. And if you want to donate to that, you can donate at the Give, Send, Go, right? And every year we buy a few families Christmas. They're kids, not adults. We don't buy adult shit, right? We buy it for the kids because kids, Christmas is important to kids. As adults, it's important, but not as important as for the children that, we got to give them something to believe in, right? Santa's real. I believe Santa's real. I don't care what y'all say. But so every year we buy a few families Christmas, and this year we're going to do the same thing. Thanksgiving, thank you guys. We were able to buy 15 families Thanksgiving dinner, from turkeys to pies to the whole thing. 15 families. That is the most we have ever done. Usually we buy 1 or 2 families Thanksgiving, 3 families Christmas, but this year we were able to buy 15 families Thanksgiving. That's amazing of you guys to help like that. Me and PJ sponsored 4, and between the Turtle Gang, y'all sponsored the other 11. So thank you guys, and I'm sure those families out there that are probably in the chat room right now will thank you too, right? That is great because, that was able to put some smiles on some faces, make great memories, and spend time with people that are important. Because I think that's what Thanksgiving is about, being thankful for your loved ones and all that good stuff. Now, Christmas to me has always been about the kids, right? It's about kids believing in something, right? I don't want to rain on any kids' parade. And, people get in situations where they have to tell their kids, listen, I'm Santa, right? And that's terrible. Like, I believed in Santa for a long time as a kid. I still do. I believe that, Santa may not be coming to the crib, but Santa, the spirit of Santa is real. The giving, right? It's real. Santa's real. Don't tell your kids Santa ain't real. Terrible ass people out here. So, like I said, we have that Give, Send, Go link if you want to donate. And if you donate to that link, make sure you throw stop signs in the chat so I can thank you. It don't pop up on the screen like a super chat, so I don't know when you donated. But just let me know so I can personally thank you. And then a week before Christmas, we're going to pick the 3 families and we're going to buy their kids Christmas, right? So now here's the thing. That's for people that want to donate, the Give, Send, Go. If you're a family out here, and I want to help people in the true crime community, because that's important. We're true crime here. So we try to help people in our own community. And I wish more people on YouTube would do this. All right. And maybe it'll catch on. I want you to send an email. Now, here's the email address. Real important. pjvision22@gmail.com. Say it with me. pjvision22. So you're sending it to my better half. Okay. pjvision22@gmail.com. We need 3 things from you, and it has to be in one email. And if you don't do this, we skip over you. Okay. Tell what's going on, while you're struggling. You don't got to tell me your whole life story, but, let us know what's going on. You're a single mother, you lost your job, your car's broke down, or you're just barely getting by, and you might not have the money to get kids Christmas. We need to know that story, okay? Because we can only pick 3. And I can tell you now, we've already got 100 submissions. But I still want to give everybody a chance to get theirs in because we read each and every one of them. And we haven't picked yet. Okay. We haven't picked the 3 people. And it may be more if we have money left over. So you need to tell us that story of what's going on while you're struggling. We need a picture of the kid. Okay. Because if we do choose to buy that kid Christmas, we will share who we're buying Christmas for. All right. And that goes to PJ. And then of course she'll show me as we read the story, she'll show me everything. And then they need to have an Amazon wish list. Real important. All in the first email. So if you ain't made an Amazon wish list for them, don't send us the email yet. Make the wish list. Tell us the story. Share a picture. Give us the wish list. Okay? And let me tell you, if you got a damn big screen TV on the damn wish list, we know a kid don't want a big screen TV. We know they don't want a microwave, a new coffee table. Okay? A lazy boy. We know they don't want that. So make sure that the items that are on the list are toys and things that kids would want, depending on the age of your kid, right? So 3 things: the story, the picture, the wish list, all in one email. Okay, don't send me 3 emails with a story and then a picture, because then I don't know, I can't put all that together, right? And a lot of that happened during the Thanksgiving thing, right? So we need you to follow simple directions, and you may want to ask one of my mods when you submit it. Say, hey, let me make sure Dolly has everything he needs, right? So the story, the picture, the wish list. Now, I know you're saying, Dolly, you're repeating this shit like we dumb. Trust me, guys, if you've seen how the emails are coming in, you will understand why I'm repeating it so many times to try to get it right. Because you'd hate to, it's basically luck, because we can't pick everybody, right? So you don't want to, as soon as we get to something where we're like, I don't know what's going on here, we just jump to the next one. And I don't want to leave you out, because you may be the family that really, really needs it. We look for the ones that really need it. So if you're somebody out there and you don't really need it, like you just struggling a little bit, but you'll make it work, them ain't the people we're looking for. We're looking for people that really need the help. And if you don't need the help and you take that help from somebody that really needs it, shame on you, right? But so far, every year, I think we've really helped good people, because there's been people that come up the next year and go, Dolly, I'm doing better this year. I want to donate to what you're doing. I want to pay it forward. And that's the type of stuff we like to see. And, just share a little bit about the kids or your kid, if you got one, or if you got more than one, and definitely have a wish list and all that good stuff. And we're going to buy as many families as we can. We know at least 3. We always do 3. So we know we're going to do at least 3, but if we can do more than that, awesome. That's perfect. But all we can do is what we can, and we wish we could help everybody. But we can't. We do. On our Facebook, we put up a post where everybody can share their wish list, and if other turtles wants to buy each other Christmas presents, they can. Okay. Now, as far as me, a lot of people ask me, Dolly, what do you want for Christmas? Right? Like, I'm going to do little things with airline cards for being able to fly to these cases. So I'll have a little wish list of my own. That's like, if you want to get me something, you can throw in on my airline tickets. Okay. So I thought that was a good thing, because then I just use that to follow these cases and go to the places I need to get to. So if you want to contribute anything to me as a gift for Christmas, you can always do that. Okay. Not that you got to, but if you want to, we'll have it set up for that. That way I just raise money for plane tickets. That's all I'm really worried about, is being able to get to these cases to cover these stories and be there in person. All right. I don't need nothing physical. I live I got everything I need. I got a TV, a pillow, a blanket. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? As far as gifts, but it's the plane tickets that are the pricey things. And I'm going to have it where you can like chip in and like, $5 or $10 or something like that on a Delta card. So, because I've had a lot of people hit me up and DM like, hey, what do you want? And usually people send me a bunch of horror movie stuff, and I appreciate every bit of it. But guys, I got so much horror movie stuff, I don't have places to even put it anymore. All right. So if you want to help out this year, Dolly something, $5-10 on my Delta card when I put it up would be great. You know what I'm saying? And that way it's used for something for the channel. It's and to help people. So thank you guys for being here with me tonight. And y'all let me know in the comment box below, why are these people so triggered? Right? Like we got Jody Sue Brown going off, Ziggy. You know, I know it's Ziggy because she thinks everything's falling down on the heels because of, you know, what went on Van Hill Road. But you guys in the comments after this video ends, let me know, what do you think about these people being so triggered? If they want Summer found, why are they acting the way they're acting? That is my question. You guys stay safe. And remember, if nobody else does, Dolly loves you. Peace.